here. Halloween may have been a few days ago, but man, I think I got like the spookiest RageSelect podcast. I think I got the scariest, most death-defying like horror. We've got like actual real-life horror news from the video game industry, as well as like a bunch of other stuff. Like I looked at the thing and I was like, holy shit, it's packed to the gills with chills and thrills and spills.
Which we haven't had in a while.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody, welcome back. It is time for yet another RageSelect podcast here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike. Did you go trick-or-treating, Jeff? Did you wear a costume, walk up to your neighbors? Do you have cigarettes? I want cigarettes for trick-or-treating.
Hell no. If Halloween was on a Saturday or a Friday or a Sunday, I might have even tried to go to a party or something, but I was just like, I gotta get these fucking asylums done. I gotta render this fucking shit out. I gotta get the Space Marine ready to go. Like it was all work. It was just work. But after I finished my work, I actually found time this week to watch 2 disturbing movies.
Okay.
And
like with actual horror movies, you just watch movies and you're like, that was quite disturbing.
Yes, I watched Shawshank Redemption. I was like, oh my god, that poor man. No, there were actual one is one is lowbrow horror, one is highbrow horror. Which one would you like to hear about?
I want to know what the definition of that is, so we'll go with a lowbrow first.
Okay, that was Terrifier 3.
Okay, that makes sense. Then.
Yes.
Now I know what you mean by
yes. Terrifier 3 was... okay, I thought about this for a long time, and I was trying to figure out how to describe Terrifier. First Terrifier, I never watched the short, but first Terrifier, it's just like a bunch of girls, they're in a warehouse, there's a fucked up clown, and he's killing people. And then some more people show up and he kills them too. Some more people show up and he kills them. Movie over. It was really just like, look at this clown, he's fucking killing people. I don't know if I talked to you about it, but the second Terrifier...
No, you talked to me about Terrifier, too.
It goes nuts.
I think we even talked about it on the podcast, I think.
Yeah, it goes nuts because it's like, they introduced, there's a new character, and she's like an antagonist now. She's like kind of the Nancy to Art the Clown's Freddy, where she's like the chosen one who's going to take this evil son of a bitch down a peg, yada, yada, yada.
Doesn't somebody give birth to Art the Clown or something?
There's a prophecy about at the very end, this is a spoiler, but you guys have had several years to watch Terrifier 2. At the very end of the movie, Art the Clown gets decapitated, and then there's a woman from the first movie whose face is all messed up that he mutilated, and she's in an insane asylum, and she's screaming, and then the post-credit sequence is her basically giving birth to the head of Art the Clown.
Okay.
The disembodied head of Art the Clown. So the third one is very much still a story about, one, the birthed head of Art the Clown and what happens next, and two, this girl, this character who's like the chosen one, who's the Laurie Strode, like the Nancy. And so I think I realized what happened was that the Terrifier guy looked at all the movies from the 80s, because I don't know how much you know about 80s horror movies.
Not as much as the people we know.
Okay, but the Friday the 13th series, Halloween series, even Freddy to a certain degree, it's like they never had any kind of plan, and then every time they made a new movie, they would just make up new lore.
That's true.
That was completely never talked about the previous movie.
There was just a lot of random chosen ones at some point.
Yeah, it was like, oh, Freddy, he was a janitor, and then by part 6, it's like, oh, the fucking lords of hell live inside of his chest. There's a part where his chest breaks open. There's these fucking demons in there. He's sucking souls. And at one point, it's like his mom was assaulted by 1,000 crazy people in an asylum, and that's how Freddy Krueger was born. Everybody's like, we don't care about this. Michael Myers goes from being just like a guy to then he's pure evil. And he's like a demon. Jason Voorhees, they killed him. There was a movie called The Final, he got killed, and then they brought him back to life with just lightning for some reason.
Now he's just a zombie thing.
He's like a zombie. But then there's a Friday the 13th where the FBI blows him away, and then his heart is in the autopsy room, and the guy that's doing the autopsy gets mesmerized by his heart and picks it up and eats it, and then he becomes Jason and slowly mutates into the actual.
I forgot about that.
He's like a body swap. So the thing for me is that I think that Terrifier decided, I'm not going to wait for somebody else to write the dumbass supernatural backstory of Art the Clown. I'm going to write my own dumbass stupid backstory for Art the Clown.
I appreciate that they waited till the third one.
Yeah. It's also very weird because it's a Christmas movie.
It's a what?
It's a Christmas movie. Like, it starts with Art the Clown busting into somebody's house on Christmas Eve, dressed up in a Santa costume, and like the whole thing.
That's what that image is.
The whole thing takes place at Christmas. It is a Christmas movie. Like, the first one was on Halloween. The second one was also on Halloween.
Okay.
Because that's what she had the wings because she had a costume where she was playing like a Valkyrie, right? And then the third one is a fucking Christmas movie.
You gotta change things up.
That comes out on like Halloween. That came out in October.
Space later.
So yeah, here's the thing. Terrifier 3 does nothing that Terrifier 1 and 2 haven't done. It's just like, you know, the thing I appreciate about the Terrifier franchise is they are willing to do a lot of things that other horror franchises will shy away from. It's like, you know, in a horror movie where a guy's getting ready to take a hacksaw to somebody's like genitals, and then the camera pans away and you hear like, and a bunch of stuff. Not here. No. We're gonna watch it happen, man. I'm gonna watch Art the Clown saw some dude's balls in twain, or like there is a part in that movie. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it.
Just know that there's a reason why some people have, even the people that I know who love horror films, have issues with the Terrifier series. Yeah, because some of them don't like going that far. Yep. But I know plenty of people who are the opposite, who love that it goes that far as much as possible.
There is a scene in the first movie where Art the Clown hangs a lady like upside down with her legs spread out or arms spread out like the Game of Thrones thing, right? Like in an X. And then he takes a hacksaw and, starting at her crotch, saws her in half down like the length of her body, and the camera just watches him do it the whole time. And it's like, that's what you're in for, man.
That's the one that gets brought up every single time. In fact, when I went to go watch the movie, or I didn't go watch. I didn't want to go watch the movie. I went to go watch a movie. Yeah, Terrifier 3 was there, and I guess I'm just gonna let every people know I was with my date at the time. Yeah, and she's like, "Should we watch that?" And then I was like, well, "Here's the thing," and then I brought up that exact scene, and I was like, "Is that a yay or nay for you, depending on what I just said?" Yeah, and she's like, "No, I'm not. There's no way in hell." I'm like, "Exactly." Then we're not doing that.
It is definitely a movie for people who are like, you know what? I really always wanted to see I wanted to see Friday the 13th, but with the gore scenes that went on for like 3 times as long, and the camera just was locked in on it the entire time. So yeah, and I'm glad. I heard it made a shitload of money, so I'm glad
it made a lot of money. Glad it beat Joker 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
which is insane.
Yeah, and then I don't know if I may talk about it more at a later date, but The Substance came out on Mubi. Really? So if you do like a 7-day free trial of Mubi, you can watch The Substance and then cancel Mubi, because I looked through it and I was like, oh, this is all too artsy for me.
There's a thing called Mubi?
Yeah, MUBI. They they're like a streaming service and a distributor. They distributed the movie. It's in theaters, but it's also on their platform, so you can watch it. I had no idea
that even existed.
Came out on Halloween.
Everyone I know says it's great.
It is very good. It is the heir apparent to the Cronenberg fortune. I got to tell you, if you want to look at people, naked people, it's got a lot of fucking naked, Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley basically spend like a good chunk of that movie like completely with clothes all the way off. Like, and now it's a highbrow movie about like attractiveness and Hollywood and women's bodies and things like that.
Yeah,
it's
don't
got a lot
expect to be turned on, is what he's saying the whole time.
Well, I think that the movie does do a lot of turning on, but like to a purpose. It's not just like, it again, go back to Friday the 13th. It's not like just like, oh, look at these teens, they're going to take their clothes off and have sex in the woods. It's like the movie is about what these two women look like naked and et cetera, et cetera.
That makes sense.
It's a very strange concept for anybody who doesn't know. Like, there's this substance that Demi Moore is like an aging movie star. She takes this thing, and then there's like Margaret Qualley, who is kind of like an aspect of her, but not exactly. It's not like the same consciousness, but they're like the same person. And every 7 days they have to kind of switch. So like they're able, Margaret Qualley is able to go out there for 7 days, and then after 7 days she has to kind of switch back to Demi Moore, and then they have to switch back and forth. And so it's very Cronenbergian, very branded Cronenberg. Like if anybody's ever seen Antiviral, which was a movie about where people got celebrity illnesses. Like they wanted to get celebrity illnesses.
I haven't thought about that movie in years.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except it does have a fair amount of body horror in it. It is all 100% practical effects. Strangely, it takes place in L.A. and it was all shot in France.
That is weird. Probably could have just made it in France. Then. I don't know. That's strange.
And then,
sure, I guess.
And then at the end, it just goes completely berserk. So, but highly recommend that one as well if you're on the other side of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to watch something that does have some weird blood and guts in it and some crazy body horror, but like not Art the Clown stabbing somebody and the camera won't pan away from it no matter how much you ask it to.
That's the fun thing about movies is that you can, like, no matter what the genre is, there is a lowbrow version and a highbrow version. But I think out of all of them, horror and comedy has the highest highbrow and lowbrows that work.
Yeah.
So I think that's great.
Anyway, Michael, before we jump into it, what about you? Have you seen anything good?
I saw shitty Venom 3.
Oh, yeah.
Venom The Last Dance.
Yeah. There's a horse in it.
There's a horse in it. That happens.
I'm just going to keep saying that like it makes it movie of the year.
Pretty much. It's a weird fucking movie. It takes place right after him coming back from No Way Home.
Uh-huh.
In fact, it starts with him in like the bar still from No Way Home.
Yeah.
But it changes how because in the No Way Home he just slowly disappears.
Yeah.
In this version, a portal behind him opens and he gets thrown through it instead, and then he ends up back in his normal universe at the same bar, the same bartender, but he now has his hair down and nobody's there, kind of thing. And him and Venom decide they want to go to New York because he's wanted in San Francisco still.
Okay.
And so they decide they're going to go to New York. But what happens is that Noel from Donny Cates' run, they explain real quick who he is. And he's like, it turns out Venom has a thing that he needs to escape.
Wait, hold on. Don't tell me too much.
This is literally the first. This is literally the first 10 minutes.
Okay,
of the film.
all right.
I'm not giving away anything.
Okay.
Like if I said anything past a certain point, then I'm absolutely.
I'm also not trying to be too harsh because I don't think that very many people out there really care about. Like I care about shitty Venom, but you could tell me the entire plot and then I would still watch it anyway. I'm here for the performances.
No, this is literally like the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Okay.
And then Noel sends something after him, and then the movie is just about Venom trying to figure out how to get somewhere while not getting killed by both Noel and as well as the secret government organization that has been studying symbiotes this entire time. And then
that sounds dumb and awesome.
Hilarity and stupidity ensues? Question mark?
Yeah.
It's a weird fucking movie. That's the thing I will say about it. I was with my girlfriend the entire time, and she's written a lot of stuff here and there, and she just kept looking at me like, this is so stupid, because it was her idea to go, and she's just like, I'm so sorry we've done this to us. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna keep making fun of this movie. And we made fun of it a lot, but by the time it was done, I was like, you know what, I had a decent enough time.
Yeah,
like, and that's just what I from what I got it. But if anybody likes these films, you will still have a good time with it.
Like, I'd like to make it clear, because over time I've talked about shitty Venom and how much I love it. I love it so much. I would never ever tell anybody to watch a Venom movie. I would never suggest to anyone, like if they were like, I'm a big fan of Venom, should I watch this movie? I'd be like, no. Like, I'm a big fan of crappy superhero movies, should I watch this? And I'd be like, no. Be like, if somebody came up to me and they were like, I'd like to see Tom Hardy act like a maniac opposite like a very stupid black CGI effect, and be like, okay, I have a series of movies for you, but like only that guy, nobody else. Nobody was like, oh, I'm so tired of superhero movies, what should I watch to cleanse my palate? I'm like, not Venom, that's what you should watch.
I like I said, if you like the first two, you'll like the third one. If you don't like them at all, you'll have and you don't have anybody to watch it with.
Sure,
and have a weird time. Don't go watch it, because you're gonna sit there very annoyed very quickly, being like, "But that doesn't make any sense. How come that happened? But why did this happen? No, that doesn't. No, like I
no, roll with it. Stop thinking. You gotta get wasted before you watch Venom 3.
There's a great moment in the movie where something happens that's foreshadowed, but I was looking at my girlfriend, I'm just like, I know why we know that's there.
Yeah.
And I know why that character knows it's there, but why does that other character know it's there? Because there's no reason. And that was literally like part of like how annoyed I was getting as it progressed. But again, if you like these films, fine. But
hey, Michael, someone has to keep CinemaSins in business, okay? Like,
it's true.
They're not going to ring the bell themselves, all right?
You want the most surprising thing that gets revealed in that entire movie?
Yeah.
Is that all 3 movies take place in a single year.
Okay.
I was like, oh my goodness. Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock has aged like shit in a year.
Yep.
That poor bastard.
I was really rooting for Tom Hardy. I was really rooting for Tom Hardy to be the next big thing, and then no, he was not.
He got really close though.
Yeah,
and then he started in Venom.
Yeah, yeah. Poor. I don't know why they don't. I don't know why they don't just stake that franchise. Like, no movie from the non-Spider-Man Spider-Man, is it Fox?
It's Sony.
Sony. No movie from that era has been any good. They've all been terrible. All the Venoms, Morbius, Madam Web, and they're like, now we're making Kraven. And I'm like, what makes you think that Kraven is going to be any better than the rest of these? You obviously don't know how to do this. You're obviously bad at this. Like,
did you hear the news that they're going to make a Sinister Six film, but it's going to be about them being the heroes or something? And it's like, what?
With Morbius, Kraven,
Venom, Madam Web for some reason.
Madam Web. They can't get Dakota Johnson to come back. She hated that shit.
I don't know who else, but I remember hearing those are like part of it. And I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense.
Yep. Well, as much as I would love to keep talking about Venom because I love him so much, let's get on to it because we do have some stuff to go over. There was a big hour and like 45-minute indie game or indie horror game showcase last week that I think Dread XP put on, where it was just like a whole bunch of like little indie horror games, and it was pretty good. It was like they were just trailer after trailer. I picked 27 out of the like 60, I think, plus trailers that they had to look at, and I've managed to cut out quite a bit of action games with a horror aesthetic that aren't necessarily horror. More than a few PSX lo-fi horror games, mostly because I still like those, but like there's just a lot of them. Wandering around a house where funky things are happening, pixel-based action games with a horror veneer on them, and stuff that and stuff that we've seen / talked about before. And there are a few things in here that we have seen / talked about before, but they're the ones that I like the most, so I want to keep talking about them. So anyway, let's go through this. I don't think it's going to take a million years because Michael hasn't watched most of these, so I'm mostly just going to be me pontificating about my horror ideas. We start with By Sweet Caroline, which is
sorry.
That I don't know why they don't use that song in the trailer. It's that song that's animated like an actual Disney movie. But it's basically Clock Tower. Like it's like, but then the main character is kind of like a Disney princess because there's parts in the trailer where it shows her like turning into a rabbit to get over a thing. And it's very strange because again, it's animated like Snow White, and it looks like a Disney movie, except all the things happening are very like Lovecraftian and like horrible. There's like monsters and evil shit happening, but the animation is just goddamn gorgeous on it.
Yeah, it looks great, and I love that. That there was just the moments where the birds, because like normally when Disney princess sings, like the birds land on them, right? And they just like help carry her to keep her from like falling somewhere. Yeah, I'm like, this is fucking fascinating. Yeah, we've seen this a couple of times in the past, but I think it looks wonderful. Like it's something that I'm really into. The idea of kind of having like a 2D side scroller game. There's one other game. The last game on our list is kind of similar in this. Like I like fucking with the tone, right? Yeah. Where it's like it looks like a Disney movie, but it's a horror video game, and it's like, oh, okay. I'm happy that that's been more of a thing with indie people. Yeah, is they're like, I want to take this animation style and do something crazy with it, and I feel like Cuphead really started that. Yeah, and people were finally like, "What about the other animation styles? What can I fuck with this?" And then the stop motion ones too that we've been seeing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's coming out next year. Let's see. After that, we got Project Songbird. This is a like a first-person horror game. This is one of the like kind of lo-fi, low rent, or not low rent. That means like bad. Lo-fi, like kind of pixelated,
low budgety
horror. And it's a very small teaser. It looks like it's also kind of like voxel-y, but that they're using it to like pretty good effect with like a lot of interesting lighting. But it's like a first-person kind of action survival game where you're in the woods and there's like a bunch of fucking weird shit happening. It's not entirely clear what's going on, but I like the fact that the main character has, you know, like a weapon.
Yeah, they got a gun and an axe and cigarettes.
Yep. And I think these games are getting a lot better about. Like, I think that at first it was just, if we make a horror game that's in a semi-recognizable place where you walk around, that's going to be scary. But I feel like a lot more games are getting better at like using like kind of the way that the world looks in order to evoke more evocative imagery than just like, I'm in a house and it's weird looking.
Yeah, that and like people are more willing to have action abilities that you can do in the game.
Yeah,
because one of the issues we had with the early on types of these first person horror games is it's always like you can't do nothing about whatever's happening. You always have to run, and you don't really get to see what's chasing you because you're so busy running. Yeah, kind of thing. That was that's what makes your video so funny sometimes when that happens, because you're like, I'm just gonna go look at it,
right?
Whatever it is, and especially if you have Tessa next to you, because Tessa's just freaking the fuck out. You're like, but I gotta see what it looks like.
I want to see what it looks like. I mean, you know, we played Clock Tower.
Yeah,
like that was just running away from something that you can't do anything about, or that you could like apparently you could combat that little dude with like a shovel. But then you just leave the shovel and move on.
Which makes no sense. It was a weird game.
Yeah. Let's see. After that, this is a game called Psycho Dead. This is a third-person action survival horror game, but it looks like it's like a little girl with, or like a young lady with like Carrie-style psychic powers that is trying to like escape this facility where a bunch of bad shit is going down. It's got a kind of like a Resident Evil X Control kind of vibe to it.
No, I can see that.
It's got this very kind of stark, like brutalist lab type of stuff, but again, it's all very nicely lit. Apparently, red lights are the way that we're going these days.
It's a very easy, creepy thing to see red light stuff with.
Yeah,
and there's clearly some like influences by a lot of weird anime that does this sort of idea.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's a great thing.
I like psychic powers. I like being okay. Listen, all I'm thinking when I watch this trailer, Michael, is that I hope it's Control, but like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Like I want to have all the powers from Control, but then just the monsters from Resident Evil, and I want to pick them up and throw them around and fucking smash them up against the wall. And
I'd love that.
Make them all splatter. So. But yeah, this one looks cool. Also, it's worth noting that if anything that I say sounds cool, like 2/3 of these, I'm not going to call it out every time because I didn't mark it down in my spreadsheet. I didn't make a spreadsheet for this shit. A lot of these have demos on Steam right now.
Oh, okay.
From there, there was a game called Please Insert Disc. This is from the people that made Home Safety Hotline, the game Blake and I played a little while back. And this is like a haunted PS2. So like it starts with like this weird little skating game, and then it like goes to what looks like a PS2 menu, and apparently like a lot of the horror is like navigating through this kind of like haunted PS2 era like menu system, and
that's really fun. They get the look down pretty well.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Like it looks just like a PS2 era with like the weird pillars going.
There's
the
just some
font.
like specific stuff that wouldn't show up, but that's the point. Yeah, to not look exactly like it. But the stuff that is so overwhelmingly that my brain's like, no, it kind of looked like that, right?
Right.
Like even though you know full well it doesn't have like a demon symbols on the fucking middle of it. Kind of thing.
And even their little like they start out with this kind of fake game called Hell Grinders. Even that game looks like a pretty. At least a decently realized PS2 era skateboarding game,
like an early PS2 game.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is really cool. I think it's a really interesting idea. I like that we've moved away from regular OSs to something as esoteric as like a console OS, a haunted console OS.
That's a fun idea, like a really fun idea.
Yeah. Let's see. After that, we got another trailer. We've seen this one before. This one's called Sorry We're Closed. And it looks like the gayest game I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that's right. This game.
Yeah. It looks like Killer 7, but like super gay. Like really bright colors.
Which is saying something because Killer 7's pretty gay.
Really bright like characters, kind of this anime aesthetic, but then also very disturbing. And I think it's like a first-person shooter, but it also kind of looks like it might be on rails. It's screaming Suda 51 with neon vibes.
Yeah,
like neon
100%.
Suda 51. Suda 51 meets Sayonara Wild Hearts, basically.
I can see that.
And whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but it looks amazing and it's very strange looking. And I like one of the big reasons when I was cutting stuff from this list was I was like, what looks interesting and unique? And this looks very unique. In fact, you can't hear it because it's in the back, but there's like a rap song about this game that's happening under this trailer.
That's really fun.
But yeah, it's again, it's very kind of lo-fi, kind of chunky, not super PSX, but just like very simple graphics.
Yeah. Like it's like the mid ground between a PS1 and a PS2, I feel.
And that was coming out before the year is out. That's November 14th.
Oh, that's really soon then.
Yeah. I got it on, I think I got it on the schedule because I did the schedule for November. So, yeah, looks pretty cool though. I'm a big fan. Let's see. After that, we got another trailer for Centum. I had to remember, but this we've also seen before. In fact, I know you've seen it before because it was a very surreal. Like, I don't think that this looks anything like the previous trailer for this game, but it's just like a very surreal set of images. It's kind of got like this. What does the description say for it? It's an unreliable narrative-driven adventure where everything could be a lie, and then it's got another. It's kind of got like an OS type of interface to it.
This, yeah,
yeah. It took me a while to remember that we'd seen it before.
Yeah, the art style is why I kind of remember it.
It's got some very nice like pixel art, but then it's got doing a lot of weird and different stuff.
Okay.
So
next year.
Yep, coming out next year, 2025. Let's see. From there, we got Among Ashes. This is a game where you are playing a video game in the game, but then like if you stop playing it, like monsters show up or something. Like there's some, it's very, because like you see these parts where it shows the screen. It's one of these kind of like meta games where you're playing a video game inside of this video game, but then outside of that video game there's also the video game itself is like affecting other things that happen in the world. So it's kind of a very basic like first person shooter, but then they've got all of this incredibly interesting imagery around it. Like really kind of disturbing monsters and kind of like I don't know, some of it looks like it's in like a giant spooky mansion, and again that one's coming out in December. So
I love the title because it's got the monitor in it.
Oh yeah, the O in Among is a monitor. So
that's fucking cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, there's just like I'm really happy that the indie horror, like I was really happy with the games that we played for the Asylum this year, even though Undead Nightmare is a bit of a cheat, but whatever.
Yeah, but it's fair. It's there.
But I don't have to scrounge very hard to find good indie horror games.
Yeah.
Not just like another Slender Man horror game, but like, something that's interesting, has interesting iconography and is different. So this is another one of those things where it's just like the idea of playing a video game inside a video game. Blumhouse is doing one of those for their thing where it's like the game developer thing where he's trying to solve like a murder or something. But this is different, and it's coming out very shortly. So,
I love these insane ideas because there's a lot more thought and put in this than people give credit for.
Yep. Another OS style game called OneWay.exe. This one looks like it's a little bit more like surreal. I didn't get a good handle on what exactly is happening in here, but it's definitely got like a kind of like MySpace. It's got a kind of a like 90s, like late 90s internet aesthetic to it, which is kind of, I kind of dig that because I was alive in the late 90s.
Turns out the twist is they were using LimeWire the whole time and they fucked up their computer.
They're using Kazaa, man. Use the superior file sharing software.
Well, that's the reason why it's the twist, because LimeWire infected the shit out of their computer.
Yeah.
They really wanted that Limp Bizkit song.
Yeah. And I remember
was that time frame? I think it was.
I remember when Napster first came out. That was very weird.
I remember when it first came out, and it was like a plot point in the remake of Italian Job, which was fucking weird as shit.
Yeah. Oh wait, what are we looking at here? We're gonna speed up a little bit. Tom the Post Girl. This is another. We've seen this one before. This one that has the little girl with the red outfit.
I remember that.
And she delivers messages, but then looks into people's houses to see what they're doing.
Because it looked really cutesy at first, and then once you find out what's going on, you're like, oh.
Yeah. When she looks in the houses, like they have a kind of a montage where they show like naked people and like sex people and like murder people. And the whole time, Tom has this like dead-eyed grin on her face, and I kind of love it. Like,
yeah, they're just like, oh, that's neat.
Like she's just watching the world burn, and I love it. It's like it's so good with the art style. Again, it's so cute looking, but then the stuff that's happening.
It's won a bunch of little awards so far too.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw it was on Day of the Devs.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah. Also, the company that's making it is called Oopsie Daisies, and I love that expression so much.
It's so great.
So
I didn't even notice that in the beginning. It shows that there's like just a leg in that sand pit.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
This looks fantastic. Still.
It looks very charming. It looks like the kind of charming indie game that I would be into because it's also fucked up.
Yeah.
I need more fucked up, charming indie games.
That's what we need. We really do. I'm not joking.
Let's see. From there, we got a trailer for Vultures, Scavengers of Death. This is a very strange idea. This is basically Resident Evil 1. Like it looks almost exactly like an RE1 game, but it's also a roguelike, and it's also a tactics game.
Oh,
so instead of being like a third person shooter, like it literally they show in the trailer, you go into like the grid and you do turn based combat in a tactics mode, but like you're controlling an RE1 protagonist, but then it's also a roguelike where when you die you start over again and you power up and stuff like that. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if I'm 100% on board with it, because I think I was on board where I was like, oh, somebody's making a retro Resident Evil style game, and then it turned into a tactics game, and I was like, oh no, but I wanted to play a third-person action game, not a tactics game.
Well, this is the exact reason I was terrible at the Metal Gear Acid games.
Yeah,
because I remember they were like, yeah, you want to play Metal Gear, but like as a tactics game. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want, and I was that, so I never finished it. And that's, yeah, like you said, this looked really cool until like tactics, guys. I'm like, look, I get why you're doing that.
Yeah,
but I know I'm bad at that, and so I'm not going to.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be really good though. I mean, I check it out. Like, I think they nailed it kind of with the protagonists. So
yeah, their designs are really good.
Let's see. From there, we got a game called Blood Typers. So, Michael, you remember Typing of the Dead?
I was about to say, is this a Typing of the Dead game?
Sort of. It's actually multiplayer.
Oh, wow.
And you can play it multiplayer, but you don't even just type to attack. You also type to move and to do all kinds of stuff. So I'm kind of interested in that. Like, that's kind of an interesting idea, mostly because I'm a pretty quick typist. So
I can be, depending. But I know I will panic depending on what's happening.
But I like the idea of a horror game. I mean, like, we had Typing of the Dead, and then we had the Typing of the Dead vulgarity pack. And then that was it.
That was it.
So,
and I actually, the thing that makes me laugh is it also would accidentally feel like an Alan Wake simulator.
Yeah,
because of the fact that you have to type to move.
Right.
And then that's when they had to move.
So I don't know. I kind of like that idea. It's a very strange looking video game.
Well, honestly, the fact that PC gaming is a thing, how are there not a billion of these fucking games?
Yeah.
Like, I was always surprised that Typing of the Dead was like the one big example for a long time. I'm sure there are others, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I don't hear enough about them, and that I'm surprised there's not a lot more of them. Like, we played that RPG one not that long ago.
That's right.
As well, so I'm like, okay, I'm glad that people are like, wait, we have a keyboard.
And then I played, what was that one? The one I played with Tessa that was all in black and white, where you was like a dungeon crawler, but you would type stuff. That one also
was that the one that like made fun of people if they didn't like type the tutorial part.
Yes, they recommended you refund the game.
Yeah, it's like if this is not for you, if you're gonna be like this.
From there, this is a pretty standard looking first person game called Painted in Blood.
Oh,
but I like the way it looks a lot, so I left it on this list. I considered cutting it, but like there's not a lot to this trailer. It's mostly just kind of this guy walking around in kind of a dilapidated town with a bunch of guns, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty standard, but like I also like this. Like
no, it looks like a good area. Like it's a good visual look, if that makes sense. Because that's one of the problems a lot of these indie shooters do is that the environment doesn't look as interesting as it should.
Yeah.
And I think everything here is very interesting in a way that makes me want to try it.
It reminds me of Clive Barker's Jericho.
Oh, that's so specific. But I can kind of see it.
Well, it doesn't remind me of Undying because that's a period piece. It reminds me of Jericho because he's got like modern weapons, but
I guess that's true.
Let's see after that. I did leave in this one. This is Haunted Lands, which is a like an EGA style side scroller, kind of like Commander Keen or like the old 3D Realms game.
Yeah.
But like very bloody, and there's like a number of different characters. There's like a hunter, but there's also like a werewolf and a lizard man. And it's like a side-scrolling action game, but you can also power up and get these kind of like super attacks. You can buy like upgrades and stuff. And they really nailed this kind of era of gaming. Like it looks very much like that style.
I kind of like, and the fact that the way they stand too also reminds me of the way that was.
Yeah, kind of awkwardly.
Awkwardly standing very straight.
Yep,
and holding their weapons very weirdly.
But yeah, it's but it looks fun. Like it's definitely. And this is one of the ones that I left on that was like horror themed, but not necessarily a horror game. Like it's real zoomed out. You can see where all the enemies are. It's more about just like doing, pulp and stuff, but they also use the pixel art to make a shitload of pixel blood and gore.
Yeah,
and I like that.
it looks fantastic, honestly.
Yeah. So this is another one. This is like one of the ones that I left in that I kind of left caught me off guard. So Haunted Lands coming in 2025. Let's see. From there, we got a very short game called Escape from Mutation Station. This is a game where like it's an escape room basically, and it's only a single room. It's a very small game.
Oh, okay.
But it's got this kind of like, I say retro futurism, and people are going to have something in their mind, but like it kind of looks like 70s almost stuff between the like kind of very basic green and black panels and the kind of colors of the stuff that's around. But it is very much like an escape room. And I want there to be more escape room games because those are fun. And I feel like that one escape room franchise and that other one that was like an RPG, both were the only ones that were doing that for a while. So,
well, that's the thing. The rise of the escape room is like, I was always surprised more games didn't do it.
Yeah.
And the ones that do are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Artistic?
Uh-huh.
And I feel like more games need to just do the weird ones that have more fun with it.
Well, it's kind of like when they did, they made a lot of pinball games.
Yeah.
And they made them very much like 1-to-1. It was like, guys, this is a computer game. You can do whatever the fuck you want
whatever,
to. Like,
and then when they finally realized that you got like crazy animations that would happen when you did stuff, you're like, okay, now you guys know what you're doing with these things.
Yep. Let's see. The next game is called My Last Friday. This is like kind of a first-person adventure game with like combat and puzzles and horror, but I was really struck by the fact that it also looks like a very violent game. And like the monster in here is like this headless naked person with machetes for hands.
Okay.
Kind of like the Voldos in The Suffering, but it's all like just very, very, very violent, and I appreciate that. Yeah,
that is fascinating. That's exactly the description you gave.
Yep.
That's oh my goodness.
I wasn't lying.
No,
I wouldn't steer you wrong.
I was not expecting it to be exactly what you said it was.
Yeah. So.
Oh my god.
This one is very like kind of realistic, right? It doesn't have any stuff, but it also looks like a kind of an escape room, but also with like combat and puzzles and kind of RE stuff. So. Let's see. Next, we have a comedy game. This is called Hungry Horrors. And in this one, you play as a princess, and your goal is to basically feed these monsters that are coming towards you, and you have to satisfy their hunger, or else they will eat you once they finally get to the other side of the screen.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of a little pixel thing. It's like you make a bunch of food ahead of time. It's a roguelike. It's a deck builder. It's card game. But I really appreciated the fact that like you're throwing food into the mouths of like these various monsters, and then when they get to the other side, they may kill you if you did not feed them enough. And I'm like, oh, okay, well that's pretty cool.
That's such a fun idea.
Yeah. Also, they really don't shy away from murdering this little princess over and over again.
In like varyingly insane ways.
Yeah.
Although one of them was pretty funny the way they went out.
So yeah, that was pretty cool looking. Let's see from there. This was one that had me really mixed, Michael, because this is called Love Eternal, and okay, this game looks really cool. It's got a pixel art style, and it kind of takes place with these very simplified characters in a small window, right? So it's like very constrained.
Yeah.
But then it flashes over to like full animation, and it's got a lot of like different, interesting kind of horror stuff that's going on. The problem is that when they actually show what the game is, it's Celeste.
Oh.
It's Celeste, but with a gravity swapping mechanic. So you're trying to like, you could turn. Do you fall up or do you fall down? And then like, and so then it looks like the main actual like game content is going to be traversing these areas where you're flipping the gravity between up and down in order to navigate through these like little spike platform areas, and they look pretty intense. And the thing is that I really like everything else, and I don't like that.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, that's kind of the only reason I wouldn't want to play this that much.
Yeah, like at the end of the trailer here, there's actually a point where the character is like,
was that Hillary Clinton?
The character is platforming, and then another character jumps up in front of the screen to yell at you, and I'm like, what is this? This looks fascinating. And then it's like, oh right, but you have to play Celeste, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't want to do.
I bet people will really like that. I bet the people who like Celeste will really gonna like that, but like I don't like that. So let's see from there. A very short teaser for a game called Satanic, just straight up called Satanic. That's just like a guy with a flashlight and a gun walking through a really filthy, like, I think the description for this said that it was like, yeah, you're trying to escape a cult's bunker, like a cult bunker.
Oh, you showed this to me recently, didn't you?
No, there's a different game
that has the same
from David Szymanski that's different.
That's
funny. This one is different. It's got a demo out. Apparently, escaping from Satan from cult bunkers is all the rage these days. So
worked for Fallout 5, I guess.
Yeah,
technically.
Ooh, how many of these can we do? Oh, Mo, we're almost out of time. Monster DNA is a game where you basically are a mad scientist that is creating monsters for an organization. And you're choosing, like, you're going through the steps of choosing like the attributes and the materials to make these monsters, and they have to be made to specific like specifications, and if they come out wrong, you have to kind of dump them, but if you fuck them up too much, they could jump out and try to murder you. And I'm like, all right, that's all cool.
That's a fun idea. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
You get to be the guy who makes all the Wesker things, basically.
Yeah.
Wesker's like, how you doing down there? I'm all good, Mr. Whisker. Your evil clown will be ready.
This is one that I almost cut. This is a survival horror action game where you go to a research station at the bottom of the ocean that was sealed up.
Okay.
Because there was like a contagion zombie outbreak kind of thing. And it looks our first person game, and it looks all right. Like I like the Cthulhu man.
Okay.
I like the fact that it's potentially got like straight up Lovecraftian horror. It does look, again, kind of a first person action Dead Space almost vibe.
I have no problems with that. Yeah, it's the Event Horizon, Jeff.
Yep.
Except underwater.
So yeah, it's coming out pretty soon. Let's see. Blind Exposure is a game that's already on itch.io, but it's on Steam as well. It's got a very strange mechanic. You can't hear it where like it sounds like a page is being printed out where you have to like manually like refresh the world. Like you send a wave through the world and it shows you things that are there. And like in some cases there's like at the end of this trailer there's like a guy that's running and then at the end he starts trying to chase you. And so you're like, I think that things are happening, but you can't see them unless you run this like refresh.
Once you, it's hard
to explain.
No, yeah, it's very hard to explain. But it's like if you were on a web page and you kept hitting refresh, but instead of the same page, it was like slightly altered. I guess is the best way of putting it.
Except you're in like a kind of a simplified like 3D environment, and there's like things that are coming and going and happening and changing in the environment. So I don't know. Again, this is one of those like video games are the only thing that could do this type of games, and I fucking love that.
That's fucking fascinating, especially the blur of like the thing chasing,
the thing like running away and then kind of coming back out again. Yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
Let's see. Let's wrap it up with this. We'll do the rest of them. Well, you know what? Let's just do these real quick. 10 Dead Doves is a single player, basically a narrative adventure game, but it's got some very strange iconography to it. Like there's this guy with multiple arms that's kind of like typing. There's a part where there's kind of a character who's in the thumbnail for it that shows up that has like his face looks like it's got like magazines glued to it.
I saw it earlier and I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And all of that is interesting. And it's like it was very just kind of a montage of weird looking stuff. Also, there was some live action there at the end. And I'm like, I appreciate anything that has this much kind of mixed medium. There's like no fixed style to it.
And there's just a lot happening on this thing.
Yeah.
It looks really interesting.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Dead Letter Department is a game where you are taking dead letters and then transcribe it, like letters that couldn't be delivered, and transcribing them and to send them to the recipients they're supposed to have. So it's kind of another like typing game, but then apparently like
boxes of Pepe, Jeff.
you're in like a weird abandoned warehouse and everything is creepified and things are very strange and the letters start to get more and more like disturbing.
Okay.
And again, I just appreciate, I like how weird everything is. So, yeah, very strange. Another typing game. Let's see. I'm going to cut one of these, and then we'll finish up here, and then we'll come back with one more. Finally, Go Home Annie. This is very strange because it's like an adventure. It's like a third-person action game, and at the beginning, they're talking about like you're in a facility and like you're being asked to like mess with stuff, and there's all these like doors and stuff. And at the beginning, they refer to the main character as D-class personnel, and this is an SCP game.
Oh,
but it looks like way better than most of the SCP games that are out there right now.
100%.
Like it's a lot more surreal and it's a lot more detailed and it just looks a lot more thought and care went into it. That just like, wouldn't it be cool if you could go into that one house from SCP-437 or whatever? Like,
well, that was one of the reasons I was such a big fan of Control when it first came out.
Yeah,
because it was a lot of like, like how you like weird, fucked up things that like because they were never like normal weird things.
Yeah,
basically it would like there's the one that's the fridge you have to stare at,
right?
Or if you don't something fucked up will happen.
Yep,
like shit like that. I love shit like that.
Yeah, so yeah, I appreciate somebody trying to do some SCP stuff. So, and then if you guys want to know, you can always take a look at the trailer for Silk Bulb Test. That's the one that I cut out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break because we're already over time. So we come back. We're going to do this. We're going to do news. Cut some news, but we'll cut even more news because this went on for too long. So stick around, and we'll be back in just a minute with way too much RageSelect. And Michael, before we jump into the horror show that is the actual video game industry, things that are actually happening in the world, I have one more trailer from that horror thing.
Yeah.
And this is kind of going with a theme of like styles, right? So this is a game called Mercia, Mircea, and it's basically a horror game, but everyone in it looks like Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I was about to say, they're just Animal Crossing, but no, without the animal part.
Yeah, they're not animals, but they look like the people from Animal Crossing.
They're like the creative characters specifically.
It's a story about a little girl that goes to take your daughter to work day, and there's like giant mutant bugs or something, and she likes bugs, and so she's like looking for the giant bugs. But it's all just fucking Animal Crossing, like almost actionably Animal Crossing. So
that is the craziest part. Is they're just like, it's like somebody modded Animal Crossing into a horror game.
Yeah,
but without all the animals, so they don't get sued.
But then by the same token, it's like, well, you don't have this style isn't so specific. And you're not doing anything you'd be doing in Animal Crossing.
Well, like I said, not only that, it's not using any of the animal characters as well. Like all of these characters, you can essentially make technically in your create a character as your main guy.
Yeah,
sort of. But even then, like you said, it's not so specific.
Yeah,
that you would get sued for it. I feel.
I also like the fact that because it's like lo-fi, because it's got that kind of like crunchy, low resolution like to it. It looks like the DS version of Animal Crossing,
which a lot of people forgot exists. That was the thing that my cousin had for a while.
So. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get started down the horrible train of news because there's a lot of it.
There's so much of it, guys.
So
capitalism is the real horror story.
It really. Well,
sorry, I had to make that joke.
No, that's a great segue because we've all been wondering what was going to happen to Concord and Firewalk Studios, and this week we got an answer.
Yeah,
Firewalk is shut down, and Concord is just not coming back.
They were just like, "Hey, Firewalk, I need you to look at these flowers really quick."
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, they put out a whole statement, and basically. It's what I said. Like I think that there was a lot of question about like the amount of money that they spent. Surely they'll bring it back as a free to play, but they might have decided that like there might be some reason why to bring it back as a free to play would be too much work or would cost too much money.
I think the idea is that you would have to re-edit a lot of the current existing menus.
Yeah,
you'd then have to figure out how to monetize it.
Yeah,
when the place where they hadn't figured that out, like. It's one thing to turn free to play after like something's been around for months on end.
Sure.
And then you have the feedback of what people want to buy, and you have the feedback of probably what they want more.
Yeah.
And you can figure out what to monetize. They let it last for like a week or two.
It was
they got no feedback that would be useful for that idea.
Uh-huh.
And then they were just like, they decided to just cut their losses.
Yep.
I'm assuming they're doing the Zaslav thing where they're just like, tax write-off. The whole thing's just a tax write-off.
Probably not even a tax write-off, but I mean, at this point, if they spent $200 million on it, it's like, well, there's no... They might have just done a study and been like, it's got too much negativity online associated with it. Putting it out as a free-to-play means we still have to pay like server costs. We have to pay artists to make like free-to-play stuff. We have to pay programmers to keep the balance running and stuff. Like all that is a second gamble on a game that already failed so hard. We pulled it in 2 weeks and gave people unconditional refunds. Yeah. Like I got a refund for that even though I never asked for it. I was like,
they lost as much money as they possibly could have on that game.
So, yeah. So not only that, but Firewalk is being, like completely cut loose and dismantled.
Like that, like it sucks. I'm not going to pretend that like it's not something that we saw coming the second it failed.
Yeah,
because I'm not gonna like when it happened. The only thought process I had was when will it go down, not if, when. Because and even then, like the best case scenario for that studio was that they would just cut them in half or something.
Yeah,
and then use the rest to make it free to play or something. That was the best case scenario. This was the not so much the worst case scenario, because it is the worst case scenario overall, but also kind of the logical one, unfortunately, based on what they've decided. But it's still dumb that they would just throw out all of this work.
There's also, they also shut down, there was a studio called Neon Koi that was internal to Sony that was developing an action phone game that they had never put out. They never even showed it to anybody.
Interesting.
That studio also got shut down. I mean, it's what we've seen across the industry of like profits are shrinking. People like, I don't know how many times I can say this. Like somebody should have had the thought, the mindset, like surely there are people who are smart enough to be like, if fucking Taco Bell gets more expensive, then that means that the kids that eat at Taco Bell are going to have less disposable income, which means that they're not going to be willing to spend as much money on video games. They're going to play the games they already have, as opposed to buying new ones. So we're going to be looking at a contraction in the market, and surely it would be better to plan for that. Now, when it comes to Concord, oh man, Michael, the CEO of Firewalk, like, he went on and kind of just had a little like, hey everybody, the game didn't sell as well, we'd like to thank everybody who played the game, we think we made a great product, all the people I worked with are great, blah blah blah. Man, I made the mistake of going into the replies on Twitter, and there's just so many people that are just like, haha, that's what you get, you fucking fuckface, for being a woke DEI, woke DEI woke. And I keep like, even if you're one of those people who's like woke DEI, woke DEI, this game was actually in software development for at least 4 years. Like that, think 2020, we weren't hearing people all pissed off on Twitter all the time about woke DEI, woke DEI, woke DEI, woke.
It wasn't even that long ago. And this, as far as we can tell, this game is being made for a long ass time. I
mean, it was like, technically, I think that they said that it was kind of in the people's heads, and they were doing experiments and stuff with it like 4 years before, up to 4 years before that. But like, if you actually just count the active development part, like, people seem to think that like Concord started last year, right?
Yeah, they seem to think that like all of a sudden games just magically appear in front of them,
right?
Which is not ever the case. And that was one of the, that's the same with any piece of media. Like, none of that stuff has ever existed that way. Like, if anything comes out at this exact moment, it was never designed to be like, DEI is all the rage now or some shit like that. Because again, that's not a real thing. That's just people saying that as a form of racism. But they're just like, movies and shows and games and stuff aren't made based on what's going on today.
Yeah,
they're based on what happened when they started being made.
Yep.
And so I hate seeing people say stuff like that, because they make it seem like all game development consistently like changes based on what's going on that exact same day.
Sure.
And the thing is, whenever that does happen, that's how you get Duke Nukem Forever,
right?
Because that's why that game took 15 years. Because there was a guy on that development team going, "Oh, you know what? This is all the rage now. Let's restart again."
Yeah,
that just kept happening, and that's not what happened here. Clearly, because the game came out exactly the way they intended it to.
Yep, and I feel bad. I
feel terrible.
But by the same token, I for the most part, I put Concord in the same bucket with fucking Suicide Squad Kills Justice League, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was an idea that was probably a really good idea when Rocksteady started, and I played that game. A lot of people don't even play these games, but I played Suicide Squad Kills Justice League, and it was not fun. It had fun in it. It wasn't game of the year. It wasn't my favorite game. I just got finished playing. I played all the way through Crow Country. I enjoyed that way more than Suicide Squad Kills Justice League, but it wasn't like the trashiest trash ever. Like, there was some fun to be had.
It was Babylon's Fall.
And the thing is that we're in a trap right now where live service games that started development 5 years ago have to either come out and probably fail, or the company has to just say, well, we're just going to axe this project that started 5 years ago, sunk cost, write it off, move on to the next thing, and you're never going to see it, even if it was going to come out before. So
yeah, and I know the rumor is that all of this stuff is just Jim Ryan's last thing that he had going, because he was the guy who was like, we're going to make 10 live service games.
Oh, right.
Kind of thing. And now they just have to clean up his last like big thing.
Yeah, some of it is that. I mean, it better that than sticking to your guns like Ubisoft has done, and then just like fucking tanking your reputation by making the exact same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
So let's see. In other Sony is not a great company and kind of sucks news, we got confirmation this week that the PS5 Slim plates, the cosmetic plates that go on the side of the PS5 Slim, will not work on the PS5 Pro, even though they're the exact same size. Those motherfuckers,
I didn't even know that.
They moved the tabs on the Pro plates, because people are starting to get PS5 Pros.
Yeah.
They moved the tabs on the Pro plates so that they're like incompatible with the plates on the Slim. So they're just off by enough that you can't use the Slim plate. Because for anybody who doesn't know, the PS5 Slim and Pro both have like a thing that runs down the middle, like a ridge. So there has to be a plate on both sides of that.
Yeah.
And the Pro, it's the same way with the Pro. And so a lot of people were like, oh, well, they're the exact same dimensions. Like, I looked at the dimensions online, they're the same dimensions. Surely the plates from my Slim that I bought will work on the Pro. And so some people came out and they said no. And then Sony came out and they said, that's correct. No, we are going to be making new $40 plastic e-waste plates for the PS5 Pro that are only compatible with the PS5 Pro. What a bunch of fucking ninnies. What a bunch of shitlords.
I say go back to my first statement about capitalism.
Yeah.
Because it's, oh, Jesus, oh, dear God.
This is like when they're like forcing people to log into the PSN for God of War Ragnarok, where it's like, stop it, Sony.
No.
You know what? We need another flip-flop, because when Xbox kicked Sony's ass in the PS3 era, it made them very humble in the PS4 era, to the point where they did a lot of pro-consumer stuff. But now they're fucking riding on top of the fucking wave. They're surfing the capitalism wave, and they're just like, sir, should we make the tabs the same so that they can use their PS5 Pro, PS5 Slim plates? And they're like, what? No, fuck them. I'm going to sell them another $70 chunk of plastic if they want a blue PlayStation.
Exactly.
Sell them the shitty white one that collects dust and doesn't look very good, and then later on we can make them pay another $75 for another set of plates. $120 if you want one that works with the optical drive, apparently.
Yeah, this is the first year the flip-flop has, or not the year, this is the first generation the flip-flop hasn't happened, because PS2 versus Xbox, the PS2 was, of course, won handily.
Highest selling game console of all time.
And then the 360 happened, and then that one kicked the shit out of the PS3.
Yep.
And then of course the PS4 beat the Xbox One. Mostly because the Xbox One sort of shot itself in the face pretty quickly.
Yep.
But the problem is it turns out it died right then and there, and then it hasn't come back since. It's because they haven't been able to pull it off.
It's because Microsoft has this like cockamamie fucking Xbox Game Pass scheme. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love getting a bunch of free games off of Game Pass or for subscription, but like they don't have the titles. They've spent like an entire this console generation is like 2/3 of the way done, and Microsoft, it's like one Halo game, one bad Halo game.
Yeah,
like,
I can't even think of anything.
One Gears of War, not even a specific Gears of War game, like some Forza. Like, it's a handful of nothing burgers.
It's a lot of nothing, and not only that, they went out of their way.
Starfield flopped.
Yeah, they went out of their way to make it harder for third parties to come to them.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that news story where they're like, why is no one coming to us? And then the other news story came out, we're trying, but you literally will not answer our emails.
Don't answer my emails.
So what do you think is going to happen here?
Yep. Anyway, the people I feel the worst for, Michael, I'm sure there's at least a few people who bought the 30th anniversary Slim thinking that they could then take the plates from the 30th anniversary Slim and put them on the PS5
I didn't
Pro
even think about that.
to make a 30th anniversary PS5 Pro without having to spend $1,000. And they were wrong.
Okay, guys, here's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You take the plates off, and then you super glue them to your PS4 and go from there.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. There's airflow. There's airflow problems.
You gorilla glue it.
Nope.
You gorilla glue it. It'll be fine.
What should happen though is somebody should be 3D print like a version that has guides on it.
Oh yeah,
so you can just clip it off,
thing,
and then like again, you could gorilla glue them. You just need a guide to put them right in the right place so that they line up enough.
100%.
So. Let's see. You can tell it was a slow news week because one of my stories here is that apparently Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is doing gangbusters.
Good for them.
In spite of the fact that it is on Game Pass. Apparently it's like the number one. Well, okay, so they put out a tweet that was like number one total players, number one hours played, number one total matches. They always find the metrics that they need. Remember last year we had the same story about Modern Warfare where they had these very specific metrics.
Very specific ones, yeah.
But apparently it's selling incredibly well.
I think
in spite of the fact that it's on Game Pass.
I think it's doing that purely because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because they're not saying, hey, we sold the best of any of the Call of Duties. They're saying we have the most amount of people playing Call of Duty.
Right.
Which
They also said
makes sense if you have Game Pass.
They also said that the sales of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on PlayStation and Steam are up 60% over last year, which sounds impressive until you remember that like Modern Warfare 3 was a flop.
Wasn't it like a 70% drop or some crazy shit?
It was a pretty big drop. It was like half a campaign and like a bunch of other shit, and people were not super excited to get just like a patch one. Like,
it was like a bajillion gigs long or large.
Yeah. So, but hey, you know what? Maybe Microsoft. I really want Microsoft to make back the money that they spent, so that they don't have to like pressure. So that maybe Activision can make a new Spyro game instead of having to just crank through CODs every year.
Yeah, you have so many properties now, guys. Just go to work, man.
Yep. But do you know what? This was funny. Apparently, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is banned in Kuwait.
Kuwait?
Yes. So for anybody who doesn't know, Black Ops 6 takes place in the 90s. The very first mission has you in Kuwait during the Iraq War with the like oil fields on fire.
I didn't think about that.
And like the Iraqi like the Republican Guard.
Remember all the leprechauns are attacking you.
Like you're fighting them or whatever. And apparently Kuwait was just like, nah. Yeah, we don't want that, which is interesting. I wonder though, like. It's interesting to think about other countries where the government has the ability to just be like, no, we don't want that because it portrays our country in a bad light.
Yeah.
Whereas here in America, we're just like, what happened? Russians drove a tank up to the fucking Arby's? Get up on the Arby's, soldier, and shoot those Russians. And we're just like, yeah, man, give me more of that. Fucking great.
That's the funniest thing about American games is that they're just like, there's no actual way to make us look bad. Because even when they try, they're just like, yeah, USA.
Yeah.
Like, we just start chanting, even though it's like, do all the war crimes. Like, yeah, America. It's okay.
Call of Duty Ghosts, where the United States got taken over by South America with their South American mind control drugs or whatever.
There's like a space laser.
I don't know.
Like, there's a lot. And it's like the only time it didn't work out, and even then, it's not so much it didn't work out. It's just that the game was trying to make a point.
Yeah.
Spec Ops: The Line.
Right.
But people still talk about that game. They're like, no, I still had fun doing the war crimes. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just like, but it was the first time a game was like, you're doing war crimes, right?
Yeah. But you know what? Like, hey, here's a thing, Michael. I don't know what it's like to live in a country that within human memory was invaded by their neighbor and then started like a huge war.
Yeah.
Like that was probably some bad shit. And they're like, hey, that was some bad shit and not the setting for your fucking rah-rah 1990s fucking Bill Clinton and Soundgarden shooting America fuck yeah video game. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
we don't like we're one of the few countries that can just keep making fucked up weird shit like that and not think about it at all.
Yep. Let's see. Another Microsoft Activision Blizzard news. There was a big controversy about a new mount in World of Warcraft. This is a $90 dinosaur mount. But apparently people are very split about it. Okay, so very quick, because we don't have time to do this, Jeff, listen to me, Jeff. We don't have time for this. In World of Warcraft, a long time ago, there was an expansion that put a bunch of dinosaurs in the game. One of the dinosaurs was a mount. That mount was a brontosaurus. It looks almost exactly like this, except that it had slightly different armor and it was green.
Oh, okay.
That mount has an auction house built into it. So you can literally use your mount to access the auction house. And if you if you drove your mount to a mailbox, then you had a mailbox and an auction house anywhere in the world. This means you could buy stuff for raids, you could do auction house stuff, you could sell stuff without having to go back to the city. So that original mount became incredibly valuable to the point where it was like the most expensive, like the price of it, if you were going to buy it with gold in the game, like from another player, was the maximum amount of gold you were able to transfer from one player to another.
Oh my goodness.
Like it maxed out. And it was about the equivalent of like $500. So
that's why people are like, hey, this is the cheapest I'll ever be able to get this specific thing.
10 million gold, which was the cap that you could transfer to another person.
Christ almighty.
So Blizzard just put this new mount out. This new mount not only has the auction house, it also has a mailbox in it.
Built into it.
So now you can do the entire auction house, anything you want for $90 with the cost of one mount. And people are like, well, fuck yeah, I want that $90 mount. And everybody who spent $500 / like, you know, a year grinding to get a mount or bought gold or whatever, they're like, hey, fuck you, man. Like, because apparently the other thing that's happening is buying this mount, you can do it with the weird in-game currency that World of Warcraft has, which is changing the valuation of that currency.
Wow.
Which is fucking people up because you can use that currency to buy your subscription to World of Warcraft. So making it like more valuable to the economy in the game than it is to purchase your subscription from Blizzard means that you might then end up in a position where it's cheaper for you to give them real money and not monopoly money.
Yeah.
And like, there's a whole thing going on, and
That's
it's weird.
Fucking
like
crazy.
So yeah. Anyway,
wow, holy fuck.
For anybody who's been looking at the World of Warcraft mount thing, that's what's going on.
That's insane.
Here's another thing that's going on. Hearthstone just had an update, and it's one of the things that they updated in Hearthstone was a bunch of pixelated versions of the hero cards. And some people have taken these cards and run them through AI detectors and have gotten like, this is almost certainly made with AI. In fact, one of the experiments that these people did was they basically asked an AI to create a bunch of pixel versions of one of the characters, and what they got was very similar to the card, to the art on the card.
To the one that eventually came out.
Also, they're like pointing out things like, here's a Thrall one, and on his hammer, he's got the wrong symbol. So it's supposed to have the Horde symbol, not this symbol.
Okay.
But then when they asked an AI to make a Thrall, they got something that looked very much like that Frostmourne or whatever the fuck it is symbol. So there's a question here about whether all of these like specific pay for skins for Hearthstone cards were AI generated. Guy on Reddit did a big thing about it, and then they posted it online, and somebody from Blizzard said they're going to look into it. I don't see, I'm real torn about this because on the one hand, ever since we started the AI thing, there's a group of people that are just like, AI, it's all AI, man. It's like a QAnon deep state thing where people are like, that's fucking AI. That's fucking AI. And it's it's not AI. Here's a picture of me drawing it. That picture is AI. And it's like, okay, calm down, man.
No, that started happening again recently because there was a picture of Sephiroth for something. I don't remember what it was that somebody drew, and everybody's like, this whole thing's AI. And one of my favorite, it made me laugh really hard. It made the person who tweeted it laugh really hard. They're like, my proof of one of this things being AI is why does he have a random belt on his leg? And you're just like, you don't know.
Wait, hold on.
You sweet summer child. Oh, you're so innocent.
Yeah.
You didn't play a Final Fantasy game in the 90s where everybody had belts and zippers everywhere, no matter what.
It's like when people got mad about the pregnant neon lady in the bar on Silent Hill 2, and it's like, go look at the original, man. So
like, it made me laugh. I was just like, guys, there was those whole memes about that exact thing. There's an old Flash video about a guy who doesn't understand his son, and he's trying to find, like, he's trying to disconnect the internet, so he starts fighting with this computer. He's like, what is this, Mark? It's Final Fantasy. Is my son in a cult? Why does this man have so many belts?
Go look at the protagonist for Final Fantasy Tactics A2, and then you tell me what too many belts look like.
Exactly.
Speaking of AI, here's a really weird one. EA College Sports Football 25 got an update. We already knew that EA College Sports Football was using a bunch of AI to make like 1 billion college sports players that were in it. But one of the things that it's doing now is it's creating this team builder mode where you can make your own team. But one of the things that you can do when you're making your own team is you can make your own logo for the team. I can't fucking believe it, Michael. These motherfuckers are integrating Adobe Express, which is Adobe's AI content generator, into this college sports football editor, and giving you, well, if you sign up for an Adobe account, you get 25 free credits for use, because the Adobe stuff, it's like you either have to have a subscription or you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
But you get 25 free credits if you sign up. And so they've integrated this Adobe AI generator into their team generator, so that if you don't want to draw your own team logo, you can basically just directly input into the Adobe AI generator and let it do it for you.
That's crazy.
Which is a little nuts.
Again, this is more of an example of what it should be for. Yeah. Which is just that, like, look, I'm a terrible drawer. I don't have time for this sort of thing. But I don't want it to look like absolute garbage.
Right.
And if an AI is willing to make just a weird wolf or some shit, like, sure, fine, whatever. You're not selling it or anything.
Yeah.
It's just something quick for your game. I'm fine with that.
Also, Adobe has taken a lot of steps to try to be a lot more ethical. Now, that's not, you know, they are not ethical. Well, there was a whole thing that happened where people were talking about how their terms of service changed, where they could literally take your art and then use it for training their AI models. And I was like, but how? Like, if Photoshop is continually uploading your art to the internet, people are going to packet sniff that shit and create ad blockers to block Photoshop from sending your art back to Anyway, that's a whole other topic.
There was a lot of topics under that involved a lot of, because there are a lot of big studios and stuff use that, so that is the reason that became a big topic.
Yeah.
But sorry, the second you said ethics or ethical, my first thought is always that fucking, it's about ethics.
Right.
In
game journalism?
In game journalism.
Yep.
I can't unhear it every time somebody says ethical.
Well, speaking of unethical bullshit, hey, last week Ubisoft put out their NFT game. Did you know? Did you even know?
I heard about it purely because they said one of them might cost like £50,000 or some shit.
The most expensive one is $63,000.
Oh my goodness!
So it's called Champion Tactics Grimoria Chronicles, and it's so stupid. It's 3 little action figures and 3 other little action figures, and they have a little fight between them. And then the action figures, of course, are the NFTs. But then you can also buy like general, quote unquote, general NFTs that like give you more things, and the whole point is to try to get as many of these dumb little hero clicks knockoffs bullshit things as possible. I think it's worth pointing out that if you hadn't heard that this happened, that's how much stock Ubisoft is putting in this project, because I think that this is one of those, they started this shit 3 years ago when NFTs were a thing, and they never canceled it. And now they're putting it out, and some people may play it, but this is not going to become popular.
No.
Nobody's going to be interested in this.
Nobody's going to spend $50,000 on your most that expensive NFT. Actually, no, scratch that. Somebody might, but they're going to be the dumbest person alive. But the common person is not going to do any of this.
Well, but you know what the worst part is? I'm showing you a trailer for this right now. There's some artists did some fucking work on this.
They did.
Like they look like little stop animated hero clicks, and they're cool looking. Like if this was just like an indie game, or even a Ubisoft game that was just like, I don't know, a phone game or something you play in your browser, like it could be something that takes off. But the fact that it's tied to the fucking blockchain, I mean, I'll be honest here, the champions go all the way down to like, I think $5 is the cheapest. So there are you can buy into this horse shit for relatively cheap, but still. Bleh.
No, it's it's purely because it's just the entire concept of a game that involves NFTs, not so much in the fact that they are NFTs, but it's clear to me that the more expensive, there's probably a stats thing or something. Yeah. And if there isn't, then that makes it even funnier to me. Yeah. To be honest, because then you're just spending a lot of money on just like a slightly different colored like night.
No,
or something.
There's an incentivization thing where the more you spend, basically, the better your team is. Like it's just pay to win.
Exactly, which is stupid. Like no normal person wants any of that.
If you don't put those incentives in, nobody's going to buy it. And if you do put those incentives in, nobody's going to buy it.
And this isn't a free to play game, right?
I think it's free to play, but you have to buy. You have to buy the characters to play. You don't get free characters. I think that the game itself doesn't have a price tag, but that you have to spend some money on those characters in order to play the game. So
it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Good luck, Ubisoft. Speaking of total shit shows, Roblox just did an update to add a bunch of new security features in. And Michael, when I tell you what they are, you'll be like, that wasn't a thing already?
Oh, now I have to hear this.
Okay, so here's what they added. Let's see. The new parental controls. New parental controls require permission to let under 13-year-olds access chat features. Used to be that if you were under 13, you were automatically able to use chat features no matter what.
Oh, no wonder the weirdos kept talking to kids.
And prevent access for children under 9 to specific games on the platform. There you didn't used to be any restriction to what you could do.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. According to this is from a Kotaku article, which, yes, very immediately raises the question, wait, Roblox didn't already do that?
That's so fucked.
Yeah. So now apparently there's all, a lot of this is like voluntary and there's all kinds of ways around it. Like you can, apparently the children under 5, you have to have like a specific, you have to get like a phone call in order to enable that. But then like you can use WhatsApp to spoof a phone number and you can do that. Like the whole idea of some of these changes just goes, oh, like y'all, because Roblox keeps being like, we're doing everything we can. What else can we do? It's not our fault if bad people find their way on our platform. And it's like, yes, it fucking is. Yes, it fucking, you haven't done the bare minimum.
All it shows is that it's that Flanders parents thing. It's like, we've done nothing at all and we've run out of ideas.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Sure, okay. Like you said, there's ways around this, but that's how it is for anything whenever these restrictions are put on.
Yeah.
Kids find ways around it. That's not the issue I have. The issue I have is that they had nothing to work around to begin with.
Yeah.
Because at least when they have something to work around, it means you're trying something at least.
80 million players a day.
Oh my God.
And they didn't have like just basic shit in
Holy
there.
Shit.
I've told whenever I talk to a parent of a child and they don't know anything about video games, I'm like, okay, listen, just whatever you do, don't let them play Roblox. Don't let them play Roblox.
No.
Don't let them fucking play Roblox. Their friends are going to want you to do it, but like, no, like this is actually dangerous. There was some kind of story, I don't know if it's true or not, a headline of like a 35-year-old man showed up to like a 9-year-old's birthday party because they gave him their address on Roblox.
I wouldn't be surprised if that did happen.
And I was like, what the actual shit?
I wouldn't be surprised, legitimately. I still remember that old story where it was Kim Kardashian show.
Yeah.
Their kid saw her sex tape in Roblox.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care if that's staged. The fact that you could do that at all says a lot.
Hey, you remember the day before? You remember those fucking asshole idiots?
I don't remember yesterday very well.
You remember those shitheads who
no, I remember
fucked up their game?
The insanity of the day before studio.
You remember how they had their Fall Guys game that they tried to kickstart and it only made $3,000 out of like $20,000
Oh yeah, no, I do remember
goal,
that.
and then it shut down? Well, you know how they're making a third game?
They're doing what?
They're making a prop hunt game.
Oh, really?
And they're gonna make like mobile games to fund it apparently because they've realized that they can't trick their audience into funding it for them. However,
they're all over the internet now. People are know they're there.
However, remember in the day before how they were like getting their fans to make levels and assets for them and then abusing them and telling them they weren't good and shit?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they've decided that they can't do that directly. So for their new game, they are running, I'm going to use all my quotey fingers in the world here, Michael. They're running, quotey fingers, a contest, quotey fingers, where the prize is that you, quote, get, quote, to make a level for their new game. Like, you're allowed as the prize, as the winner of our contest, you can make a level for the new video game. Isn't that amazing?
Do they get the game at least?
No.
No?
No. Do
Really?
they get? Ask me more. Do they get money? No. Do they get like their name in the credits? Probably not. Like
definitely not. There's no way they would.
Are they coming to? Are they gonna like? Is there potential for them to get full-time employment? Absolutely
Do
not.
they get a high five, like a pizza party, something?
I don't fucking know. So yeah, these guys are just scumbags.
No, they're terrible.
Like they're the worst.
I'm just happy the internet now has their scent.
Yeah.
So they can't run anymore.
Yep. Let's see. You remember that Nightingale game?
Oh,
The survival one with the Victorian people?
The one where they were like, oh, these people, it's you, the players' faults.
Yeah.
That this is happening to us.
Yeah. They shut down their UK studio and they're laying people off in their, I think it's Canadian studio.
I'm shocked, Jeff. Shocked.
That game came out earlier this year. This year has been notoriously weird, and Balatro is probably in the top 5 games that came out this year.
It's doing amazingly, apparently.
If you can't make it here, then you can't make it anywhere, baby.
This game, I still remember the first time the trailers for this thing came out, and I was like, this looks kind of cool, this setting and this world idea, and then it's like, oh, by the way, it's just this fucking survival multiplayer game.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, fuck this.
Yep.
And even the people who played it didn't like it.
It's very true. Very true. Well, they were doing a big 2.0 revamp the whole thing update.
Oh yeah,
and they did that, and no,
just didn't work out for them.
Not. I mean, who's interested in Nightingale? Nobody's even talking about it. Do you know Twitch streamers that are playing it?
No. I assume they're playing porn on it the way they did for Artifact or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of Steam games, Valve did something interesting last week. Michael, I don't know if you saw this story.
No, yeah.
So they did an update that had some fixes, but one of the things they did was after 13 years, they fixed the color of the Scouts' pants.
Really?
So
that was not a thing for a long time?
In Team Fortress 2, if you were on the red team, you're wearing a red top and brown pants. If you're on the blue team, you're wearing a blue top and gray pants. However, the Scout on the blue team was wearing a blue top and brown pants.
This
whole time, he was wearing the wrong colored pants, and they finally fixed it after a long time, which is great.
That's incredible.
Sort of, but also there are a bunch of mods for community cosmetics that are all based on brown pants.
Oh no.
That now look weird because they're supposed to blend into the brown pants, and now they just look fucking weird with the gray pants.
That's so fucking funny. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 17 years worth of mods.
Yep. Holy
shit.
The monkey fig paw curled its finger, and the Scout's pants were fixed. But at what cost?
Yeah. You poor guys.
Holy shit. I think we might get through these stories.
Famous last words, they say.
Kamala Harris and the Harris Walls campaign put out a Fortnite map. Apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Can it be played on a Dreamcast?
I don't think so.
It's the only thing Tim Walls plays, apparently.
Yeah. What was he playing? He's
playing Crazy
Taxi?
Yeah. Turns out he was addicted to Crazy Taxi.
Well, no, the thing I saw on the internet was I actually was watching him, and people were like, if he was addicted to Crazy Taxi, he's not very fucking good at it.
Well, he remember he stopped, and he was playing on an Xbox, and so he was playing the bad version of it. So he couldn't even go to KFC.
Anyway, this is called Freedom Town, USA, and it's just an island that they made. It's a little thing. It's got Kamala fucking billboards and shit.
Okay. Guys, Freedom Town, USA. Really?
Yep.
That's the name you came up with?
Freedom Town.
Hi, fellow children. Freedom Town. Jesus Christ.
Yep. I feel like there's a much longer tangent that we will not be going down about how do you appeal to the youngs? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Jesus.
You make a Fortnite map.
They love the Fortnite. Pokemon go to the polls.
We'll call it Freedom Town.
Yeah.
People will love it.
Yeah.
It's dude, no.
There's
I want to unvote for you now.
Did you see this?
Such a bad name.
This car comes around the corner. Do you see the sign in the back that says Kamala's Kicks?
Oh, God.
It's like a store.
This makes me want to unvote for you.
Can I get an endorsement from Shitty Venom while you're at it?
Holy
please?
shit. Might as well, yeah.
Okay. Balatro is getting some new stuff. This is the Friends of Jimbo 2 pack. So they had Friends of Jimbo before, but this one is Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, fun!
So it's literally got cards of Johnny Silverhand and some of the other characters. Jackie.
I already forgot his friend's name.
Yeah.
Wait, his friend's name is Jackie, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Jackie.
Yeah, which one was the middle one?
I don't remember.
I forgot her name.
Binding of Isaac.
Oh, that's fun.
So they've got some Binding of Isaac cards, and then Slay the Spire. And
nice.
also Stardew Valley. So
cool.
I like the fact that Balatro apparently, or Balatro, I think I heard it's called.
I can't remember.
How like they're just like, hey, do you want to do a crossover? It's like, I don't know, give me some art I could put on the face of a card. It's like, yeah, man, I get Gary to do that this afternoon. And it's like, okay, sure, man, I'll fucking cross over with your game. None of it changes the way that playing cards work.
Yeah, and also like it's free advertising really for these other games. And I was laughing because I was listening, or not listening, I was reading up on some stuff from him talking about making the game, and at one point he was like, yeah, I made 125 Jokers. And then the publisher is like 135, and instead of correcting them, I made more.
I just made 10 more Jokers.
I was like, good for you. I'm happy with that.
Well, speaking of things the publishers might need to correct before it comes out, Michael, have you seen from the Monster Hunter Wilds video how they're handling their arachnophobia mode?
I know. I did not hear about this.
So apparently there are big spider mosquitoes in the game, and they jump on you, and they knock you to the ground, and they suck your blood.
Uh-huh.
So... this is probably going to get changed, but Capcom turned them into slimes instead of mosquitoes.
Okay.
But what this means is that the slimes jump all the way on top of you and then wriggle around in a very suggestive fashion before spitting you out once they are done.
Okay, so here's the problem I'm having with it. It's that since the mosquitoes had limbs, the slimes have limbs.
Yeah,
which is why it looks as fucked up as it does.
Yeah,
because if it was just the slime doing that, and I mean by that, like, you know, like the way, you know, the Dragon Quest slime is, which is just like a circle.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, that thing's just wriggling around. That thing is literally humping that hunter.
It looks so suggestive.
It looks super suggestive, and the fact that it clearly has like a front face mouth section.
Yep.
So it's clearly like going to town on you.
Yep.
Like there's no other way to take it. Is all I'm saying.
And like you could see through
because your head's
it.
exposed.
Yep.
Is the other part.
You could also see through the slime, so you can see the character is kind of like wriggling around, and their legs are splayed out. It's just like, whoa!
you need a better. Oh my goodness!
Isn't this the company that shut down all mods because of a naked Chun-Li?
It did.
And this is your official solution to arachnophobia?
Oh my goodness!
So yeah, y'all should go look at it if you don't already know, because it's fucking crazy.
I get the spirit, but you clearly fucked this entire thing.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Also, somebody needs to explain to Capcom that there are parts of the internet where like people and slimes do things that then lead to this being basically
thing.
Pornography. So
if anything, all this has done is made people be like, oh, I guess I could mod the slime into something else now.
Yes.
And so you've just opened a whole new can of worms. I'm sorry, Capcom, you poor bastards.
Let's see. We got 2 minutes and we got 3 stories, and these are all real quick because they're just movie announcements.
Okay.
So movie announcement number 1, Paul W.S. Anderson of Resident Evil, Monster Hunter. Oh, I had the perfect segue. Speaking of Monster Hunter, Paul W.S. Anderson is going to his next video game that he's going to ruin is House of the Dead, and I couldn't be happier because out of all the things he's made, Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, he is qualified to make a House of the Dead game.
Yeah.
Not any of those other movie, not any of those other ones.
everything in the Resident Evil movies is just him wanting to make a House of the Dead movie.
Yes. Go nuts. Ruin the canon. Nobody cares.
Well, not only nobody cares, but House of the Dead is known for being batshit insane.
Yes.
And that's the exact type of movie he should have been making this whole goddamn time. He should just do a Typing of the Dead one just for the fuck of it.
In another great matchup, Lionsgate is making a Red Barrel or an Outlast game.
Oh.
Lionsgate, if you don't remember, has the rights to the Saw movies. So that would be a good...
That's a great batch if they could get the right people.
Then they also have... they've announced a few people. Roy Lee, who I don't think was the director, but was involved with Barbarian, Late Night for the Devil, and Strange Darling, all of which I liked. And then John Thomas Petty, who was the writer on the Outlast games, is going to be doing most of the screenplay work. And I'm like, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Video game adaptions, they're so hot right now.
Yeah. Like, just that one sounds like it would be worth doing. But it's not the craziest one.
Oh, really?
I think do you know the craziest one?
No, I don't.
Apple is apparently going to be making an Oregon Trail movie However, it's being adapted by Will Speck and Josh Gordon, they're attached to it as directors and producers, and they are known for like Blades of Glory.
Oh,
so it's going to be a comedy.
This movie's going to be amazing.
And it's also supposed to have music numbers, quote, in the vein of Barbie, unquote.
Oh.
Which apparently are being made by Benji Pasek and Justin Paul, that were known for La La Land, Dear Evan Hansen, and then they also did, this is for you, Steve Martin did a music number in the last season of Only Murders in the Building.
I didn't know that.
And they wrote the song that he sings, so I'm like, okay, because who wanted to watch an accurate Oregon Trail movie?
If you watch, there are accurate Oregon Trail movies already. Technically, you just watch any one of those old fucking westerns of them going east or going west, kind of thing. That's all you gotta watch. But making an Oregon Trail thing, the only way you can make that work is a comedy now, because Oregon Trail is already a joke. To people, specifically the dysentery joke. The dysentery joke is very popular.
Sure.
To the point where it got changed to, instead of just dysentery, because it's just like you walk up to a guy named Terry and say he looks dumb, and he shoots you dead because you got killed from dysentery.
Oh, I've seen that one. But yeah, I think it's great.
I hope that's a joke that happens. That would be fun.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We still have a bunch of more trailers of stuff that got announced this week. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a minute. And Michael, I've got the strangest new... Nintendo is going crazy.
They're
these
making
days.
weird decisions.
They're making some very strange... They're doing some strange stuff. Nintendo Music.
I heard about this.
Came out. This is a specific app for Android and iOS devices that is like Spotify, but just for Nintendo Music. But you have to have a Nintendo Online account in order to access it. Like, you have to log in with your Nintendo Online account in order to access it. And it's really weird because it doesn't have like all games. It's only got a few games, but they're organized by like game and by mood and by a bunch of other stuff. But then they've got some weird stuff, like you can click like a spoiler tag for certain games, where then it won't like play tracks from that game that are like
have like a name of the title,
name or the final boss fight or
like
whatever,
the death of so and so or something.
Right. Also, apparently, some of the tracks from Nintendo games are made to loop, right?
Yeah.
So you can literally change how long you want that track to go on, from like, it'll be like 3 minutes. It could be like, or 10 minutes, or 30 minutes, or an hour, and just like straight up change the track to be an hour long.
I kind of love that.
Do you want to just listen to the Wii story music for an hour?
I've done that on. I find the YouTube versions of stuff sometimes where it's like, you want to listen to the boss battle from Ninja Turtles, like, for 20 minutes? I'm like, yeah, sure, dude.
Yeah. So it's very weird, but it also makes a certain amount of sense about why they've been so litigious about the channels that are putting the Nintendo music up.
Yeah, they've been like that for years, though. Like, that was one of the reasons why one of my favorite set of YouTube, like, putting up music for something was for Final Fantasy VII. I think the remake first came out, and it was just basically just saying, "This is not this song." This basically was the title, to try to keep them from like getting copyright struck somehow. And for some of them it worked for some reason. I don't know why, but Nintendo was really bad about it for a long ass time.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's a pretty good idea. It's better than some of the other fucking shit they put on phones. So
yeah, if it just has a Smash Brothers section, you can listen to for days on end.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fucking songs on this.
Yep. So yeah, but probably the bigger news from Nintendo was that Xenoblade Chronicles X is gonna be ported to the Nintendo Switch. I was actually thinking about how like the Wii U may have been a bust for Nintendo as far as like the popularity of that console went, but man, they put out a whole bunch of games that they could now like remaster onto the Switch that nobody played, so they can finally get a chance to play them on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, there's very few games that are not on that were on the Wii U that aren't playable outside of it now.
Yeah,
luckily, because for a long time there was a large amount of games on there that I was just like, man, I wish I could play this anywhere else right now.
Yes.
And all my favorite ones, for the most part, are likely out of it. I think there's like one or two, but the problem is I don't even remember what they were.
Yeah.
Kind of because that library was so forgettable after a while.
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't played it, Xenoblade Chronicles X was like a Xenoblade game, and it had mechs in it.
Yeah.
That was kind of a big thing, and it was a little bit more like futuristic. It still had that same kind of MMO like kind of layout to it. So yeah, they're putting it out with some enhancements, some graphical enhancements, as well as a few other things. I've never been able to gel with the Xenoblade games.
Neither
I just
have I.
can't get into them. I've tried a whole bunch of times, but also, just to let anybody know, it's many hours before you get a mech in this game. Like,
yes.
It's not like it happens at any point during the beginning. It's like a quarter of the way into the game or something before you finally get a mech. But yeah, they're putting it out, which is great news for anybody who who's a fan of these things, who doesn't want to go buy a fucking Wii U.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that were really excited on Twitter for this.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for them, for all of you guys.
Yep, it's coming out next year in March. So, yeah, good for you. Good for you. Another weird strategy game from the Nintendo Switch news. Michael, there was a launch trailer this last week for Triangle Strategy. You remember that game?
I do.
On the Meta Quest 3.
That is fucking weird.
So it's like a tactics RPG pixel game. Like, they're not even 3D characters. They're pixel characters. And you were controlling the entire thing with like the weird paddles of the MetaQuest. And I got to tell you, this trailer, it looks worse. And it looks like really irritating to control.
Yeah.
Without like why do you want to have to pick something up and then move it as opposed to just using the D-pad? I mean, Well,
because it's not even like really making it that much more intricate.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, it's just the equivalent of like if you're standing over it like it was a diorama.
Right.
Instead of, you looking at a camera on the game's normal. Like there's nothing special about it from what I'm looking at here.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just the game. And like, obviously because it's a Switch game, it should be able to run relatively well on the MetaQuest because it's just pixels and it's this kind of voxel art. So it's not exactly like a graphical dynamo or anything. But by the same token, it's like, why would you ever want to play this with a cell phone strapped to your face when you could just sit on the couch or for the love of God, hold your Switch in handheld mode and play the video game, for God's sake. Like
there's no real reason, I feel, for this version. And and again, I don't even have an example why you should.
Yeah.
Like, this just seems dumb.
And like, don't get me wrong.
And it's a long game, so you would be doing that on your face for a long time.
Yes, and let me be clear here, because there was a time where I had talked quite a bit about how I think that a lot of VR games should, like, they always want to make it like a first person thing.
Yeah.
And I think that more VR games should embrace the fact that games are abstract. So you can have like you could play Diablo in this way, and it'd be kind of interesting if you just use the sticks and the triggers and the buttons, not like the motion controls, to play Diablo, but looking down on it like you're a giant. That would be kind of cool. But this is a turn-based strategy game. There's no like heart-thumping thrill about picking up your guy and moving him to the thing and then hitting the attack button. Like, it doesn't enhance that experience, I don't think. If anything,
I feel like I'm going to hit the button wrong even more.
Right.
Because I don't always have the controller memorized in my head.
Also, the backgrounds, it's like they put them in a little diorama, and then there's just like nothingness around the dioramas. And it's like, I don't know. Again, I think that you'd be better off just playing this on the Switch than you would. I mean, I guess if you have no other way to play it and you're really into tactics games and you're like, I bought this Meta Quest to play tactics games, Michael.
I don't. I generally have no I have no example of a person who would want this.
Yes. So, well, speaking of things that people would want, did you know they put out a whole bunch of Exodus cinematics?
Oh, they did?
That game, the game with the Matthew McConaughey doing the voiceover. And there are a bunch of like motion comics, and they're talking about the different kind of like creatures of the world of Exodus. So like,
I assume they're not all Matthew McConaughey, right?
No, they are.
Are they all?
They're all of them are Matthew McConaughey doing the voiceover as the CeCe Orlev character.
You know, good for him.
But they make for a fascinating world. Like they have this one that they have these things that are called the Awakened, that are like animals that are like enhanced to be smarter and like on par with people.
Oh wow.
So they have this one about the awakened ravens where they talk about how like the explorers, the travelers, they needed like something that could store information like for a long period of time, so they genetically enhance these ravens, and they're like now giant, they're like huge ravens.
Oh wow.
And they never forget anything, so they remember everything, and so they're like the living history of this universe in case something like terrible happens to a colony. Like the ravens still remember it. When the next group of people come, they can pass that information along, but they're not targeted by things like the fucking crazy weirdos.
Yeah, because they're just birds.
Because they're just giant birds, but they're like giant smart birds, and I'm like, oh, that fucking rules.
That's fucking cool as hell.
That's a cool idea.
But I love that like one of them like is much smaller and the other one's just gigantic.
Yeah.
And that by itself also makes for some really interesting imagery.
Yeah. Or they put out one of these every day this last week.
That's fucking crazy.
They also have another one that was the Awakened Bear, where they talked about how they took these bears and they like enhanced them and they put all this cybernetic shit on them and they made them smarter, and that their job was originally as medics because they would go to places where people couldn't go because they were so big and hardy that they would deliver like medical supplies. But then as time went on, they started to become retasked as war bears, basically. But like he talks about how it's like, you know, like they started off with such grand intentions, and then like, so there's literally like this panel of like a bear healing a guy.
That's
with like lightning
crazy.
and shit, and then talks about how like, you know, he ends his like narration talking about like, is this better? Do you think this is a better way to deal with these sapient creatures, is making them into like murder guys? Like
this is fascinating.
Yeah, it's like such a cool thing. Like they have the Coven, like Koven. This is one where they talk about these are like the minions of those outer space Reaver guys.
Oh yeah.
And they're like these genetically engineered cybernetic like horror shows that can
oh my goodness,
they can just like, they're in constant pain, but they also like dole out pain to other people. And they show these like, they look like these weird kind of like, I don't even know how to describe them. They're kind of like a bat bear.
I'm not sure how to describe it either. It's like a like an elephant and a bear fused together, covered in spikes, or not even spikes. I don't really know
ridges. But then they show like, they talk about how there's also like smarter versions of this subspecies, and they have these like cybernetic kind of like hyena men.
Oh my goodness.
That are like leading the other guys around, and it's all just like, I want this world. I really hope this game is not bad.
Oh, yeah,
I really want this game to not be bad.
I really hope this game is worth playing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what type of game it is still.
I think it's a third person like action. It's gonna be like a third person action game, but like,
what a crazy fucking game.
Anyway, a lot of people seem to think that this is all leading up to basically like a gameplay reveal.
That would make sense, or like one giant like new trailer or something.
But yeah, they're all done by McConaughey, and it looks pretty cool, and just totally go check it out.
What a fucking crazy world.
We also got the teaser this week for the Ghostface.
Yeah.
In Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns. This was a very weird trailer because it's a lot of like lightning lighting up Ghostface, and then a lot of different Ghostface masks. Like
one of them's a scorpion mask, which makes him look like a duck.
Yeah. There's one that's like a bag, like a sack, but it's got the face on it.
It's very strange.
There's like a cyborg one. Like, it's all very weird. I do like the beginning part where he's killing Johnny Cage on the couch, like a Scream movie.
That is pretty fun.
I wonder if that's a fatality. If it's like somebody watching it, and then but
when is he out?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
It should mention
early access November 19th.
Okay.
For if you got the season pass.
I still haven't bought that thing, by the way. It's just really expensive.
26th. The the big expansion with the story content,
because it comes with it. Like you have to buy both together. It's like $40, $50. I
think it's $50.
It's
really I think people
expensive.
really didn't like it, the fact that it was that expensive. So, but yep, it's out there. I kind of wish again, I say this every time, but I wish I liked Mortal Kombat 1 more.
Same. 100% same.
Michael, your favorite game, Michael's favorite game of all time, Crime Boss Rocky City.
Oh, how is this still getting updates?
Update 12.
Wait, how many?
12.
They're up to 12 updates for this thing?
This is the Rocky Rumble. This is their Halloween event.
Oh my goodness.
They've got like zombie thugs attacking, and at one point, Michael, you'll see very briefly, I'll see if I can pause it when they show it, a kaiju-sized oh
my god.
Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is a giant kaiju monster walking around in the world. What is it? What is happening? Giant kaiju Chuck Norris. How? How is this game a thing? How is it a thing? How is it still running? Like it's been like 2 years and they're doing updates.
Somebody should send that to Matt as who would win. Oh my god.
Kaiju
Chuck Norris versus Kaiju
like Godzilla,
King Ghidorah or something.
King Kong.
Roundhouse kicks all three of them at once.
I just want Matt to draw a picture of King Kong wearing the Chuck Norris outfit with the sheriff thing.
We should ask them how much that'll cost.
Why? Why is this a thing?
How is this
a thing?
I still can't believe this game exists.
Where is this a thing? All of the questions.
It just came out randomly.
Who is playing this thing? Like
it feels like just yesterday that the Game Awards had Michael Madsen probably drunk as shit.
That was like 2-3 years ago,
and then it just came out. Like, it felt like it came out the next day almost. It was fucking crazy.
We played on the PC.
Holy shit!
And then it came out on consoles. Like,
oh my god!
I don't know. It's probably got some kind of. It's either got some kind of fan base that I don't understand, or it's a front for money laundering, and they just keep making updates to make it seem legit. Like,
I love this top thing. This game refuses to die.
Yeah, the top comment.
Oh my god.
Yep. So,
fuck, dude.
Crime Boss Rocky City is still bebopping along.
Christ. This thing outlived Concord. Jesus Christ.
Oh, by orders of magnitude.
By orders of magnitude. I don't understand it.
Well, Concord didn't have Michael Madsen in it.
That's true.
So, you know.
They didn't have Chuck Norris.
Or Chuck Norris.
Yeah, with his weird... Or Vanilla Ice.
Or Danny Glover, or Danny Trejo, or Vanilla Ice, or Kim Basinger. Or like,
oh, fuck. I still can't believe they got that many celebrities, no matter how high or low they are.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, how about a cinematic tour de force that you might be slightly more interested in? The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind got a release date trailer.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. I didn't see the trailer though.
Yeah. So this is the Power Rangers beat 'em up game that they're making. That's kind of little pixel based beat 'em up. That looks pretty good, to be honest. Like, it's a beat 'em up, but then it also has, I don't know how much you've looked at this, Michael, but it's got like sections where you're like driving. Like,
oh, okay.
Like
I remember that in one of the other trailers at one point.
And it's got a real like Mode 7 style to it, but then also they show a thing at the end where you're fighting in the Megazord, and it's like a first person Mode 7 like punching.
I still wonder how that works though.
What do you mean?
Because it's a co-op game.
Yeah.
So like, because that was one of the weird things about, because there was another beat 'em up game. I know that you guys played it at one point. And it was whatchamacallit, the way the Megazord worked was that each person had to hit a button to do the battle.
Yeah.
And if you fucked it up, if one of you fucked it up, it fucked the whole thing up. And this game already looks magnitudes better than that game was.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's great. I just saw how it does it.
Yeah.
So if you look at the top, it shows who's controlling it at that moment.
Oh yeah, it's got the like heads of the different rangers.
Yeah. So that's that's a good way of doing it though, because that other way kind of sucked.
I really like how it looks like when you get hit. When you get hit and it pulls it back to show all the rangers going like ah.
I love that. Yeah, this game looks magnitudes better than that last beat 'em up game they got.
Yep.
I hope it has a really good soundtrack, because that was my other issue with that other one, is it just did not have a soundtrack that was worth like playing these levels to.
December 10th. right around the corner.
Right around
There's
the
a lot
corner.
of stuff still coming out this year.
Yeah.
I was doing the schedule, and I was like, shit.
It looks fantastic.
A lot more stuff coming out this year. Speaking of color-coded characters from your childhood, Totally Spies Cyber Mission launched.
Yeah, Totally Spies. It came back.
Oh,
they started making new episodes of it. I don't know if they finally released in English yet, but a lot of people were excited about it.
The only thing I know about Totally Spies is that apparently, like, it's the progenitor of every fetish
Pretty much
your generation has.
Pretty much, yeah.
They kept putting the spies into like, oh no, my costume got so big and it blew up, and I'm so plump now.
So what I didn't know about Totally Spies until recently, it's a French show.
Yeah,
and so it was just dubbed in America eventually, and so the new ones are only in French at the moment, as far as I know. But yeah, no, it very much was like that. And
I'm a cat person now.
I never watched it.
Yeah,
but I know a lot of people who did, who very much were like, no, I blame that show for a lot of my very specific fetishes.
I don't know. I watched the trailer for this, and it doesn't look like the worst game. It's kind of a mid-tier Metal Gear adventure game. The character models look okay.
Yeah, it could look a lot worse.
And it's being put out by Microids, which they did that Inspector Gadget game that re-released and stuff. So, and that's out right now. Like, that game is out right now. So if you I need to play me some Totally Spies.
I wonder if it has a one-handed mode for you weirdos.
I don't think they need to play. I don't think they need to spend $50 on a video game for that. I'm
they
pretty
don't,
sure.
but people are weird.
That's true. It's very true. Let's see. Speaking of some edgy shit from your childhood, Sonic X Shadows Generations launched. Y'all may notice that I haven't put it on the dojo. I'm not sure if I'm going to, because it's a full price game, and I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend $50 to shit on Sonic for 2 hours.
So from what I've been seeing on Twitter and everybody who's been playing on YouTube, they really like the shadow part.
Yep.
The shadow part, like they say, is actually better than the Sonic side, because the Sonic side is just the re-release of Generations,
right?
But they changed the locations of like stuff for some reason, I guess, to make it different enough. But no, the shadow stuff apparently is like legitimately like worth, at least to the Sonic fans, worth doing, because it has much more like emotion to it, since it involves like time travel, and like since Shadow has like a fucked up backstory, people are like, oh, I'm actually legitimately into this. So I'm like, you know what, good for you guys. I'm never gonna play it.
Okay, I'm also a little torn, because after watching the trailer for the third movie, and then watching the anime, one of the anime segments they put out for this game with Shadow,
I forgot about that.
I think it's possible, I don't want to make any promises here, but it's possible that Shadow the Hedgehog might be so fucking lame and stupid that it actually goes all the way back around to being inadvertently awesome. Like, that he's such a cheesy edgelord, dark shadow version of Sonic the Idiot Hedgehog that, like, it becomes awesome.
Oh no, that's always been what he was.
Yeah.
And people have never shied away from it. I remember, I think I told you. I think I know I told you the story when I watched Sonic 2 and the post-credit scene revealed that Shadow was a thing.
Right.
I laughed so hard.
Right.
For I think 2 minutes straight, and Martin was looking at me very worried.
Yeah.
But I kept saying to myself, the crazy bastards did it.
Yeah.
The crazy bastards brought that dumb 2000 ass edgelord into like the mainstream again. I don't know. Maybe I'll play it. Maybe I'll wait and see if... You should wait till the Keanu Reeves level or whatever comes out. Oh, right. Because I know that's the thing that's supposed to be in it. I don't know if it's already part of it or not. I think that was coming... I don't know. I think it was supposed to coincide with the movie. Is the movie out? It's not out yet. I know it's out sometime next year, I think, if I remember. Actually, I don't remember when it's supposed to come out. I have to look into that again. I'm going to watch that movie. I didn't expect those movies to be like my comfort food. I feel like this is like me and shitty Venom. It is. To be honest, it is my shitty Venom. Yeah. Except it's not always shitty. I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to explain. Yeah. But it has a special place in my heart. Shadows of the Damned Hella Remastered
launched.
Oh, did it finally launch?
Yep, launched last week. We're probably going to be looking at it next week. So,
are we gonna think about doing what we thought about doing?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see how things line up on the schedule. Okay. So, but yeah, we're at least going to do some dojos for it because
you guys should play this game. It's fucking insane, and I love it.
Garcia Hotspur is back.
I might just buy this game later.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because this and then that Lollipop Chainsaw remake both came out.
Oh yeah,
but and they look almost identical, but this one looks good. Like
no, they did a really good job on remastering this one.
And there's like 4 new costumes. There's a new game plus mode. Yeah,
Shinji Mikami.
Well, he did all the combat.
Yeah, the big boner.
Yep. In fact, the trailer, the costumes are so weird. I don't even know what they are. Like,
I don't know either.
Like one of them has like a demon mask, and one it's like a full demon guy, and then one of them's just a top hat.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were like concept art ideas.
Yeah, maybe.
I know the skull thing, I think, is like based on that thing that happens in Travis Strikes Again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it looks like a pretty normal like remaster re-release. But I had to appreciate that even in the trailer, they ended the trailer with him with the big gun saying, "Oh, that's a big boner!" Like,
God, I love this stupid fucking game so much.
There's that horrible. There's a level in Shadows of the Damned where his gun gets really big and he calls it his big boner.
That's not just the level. There's multiple levels with it.
And he's got to like tower defense against like giant kaiju demons, and then every time he shoots he says something about his big boner.
He
like
does.
It's great.
It was, oh my God, I loved it so much.
Yep.
Please play that game.
Yep. Let's see. Speaking of dark and edgy shit, we got the opening cinematic for the first Berserker Kazan. You remember this game? It was like based on
actually
DNF, but it's like kind of like a God of War type of thing.
Yeah, because I remember we were trying to figure out what it was because it was at something. I don't remember what it was.
I think it was like Game Awards maybe last year.
Oh yeah, something like that.
But
and we weren't sure about it.
I don't think you've seen it since then. They've lightened it up dramatically.
Oh, they did?
So that like it's not just black, basically, just like really monochrome.
Yeah.
Like it looks really cool now. Like it looks really awesome. Like it's got like color that pops, and the blood pops more with like the fact that not everything is so dark. The character models look really good. Whoever they've got doing like the cutscenes, I think Amanda was on last time when we talked about one of the cutscenes, and it looks good. Like it looks solid.
Yeah, it looks great.
As something that I'm more interested in than whatever they were showing previously. So, yep, it's got some real edgy red darkness to it. A lot of red lights on this week's show.
Yeah,
between the horror games and Shadow the Hedgehog, just a lot of lights, a lot of red lights. Yeah, that's coming early 2025. Okay. From there, we got the full launch trailer for Forgive Me, Father 2.
Oh, yeah.
I think that John and I played the early access for this, but I know you and I played the first one.
Yeah, we played the full release version of it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty insane.
This one looks like, from what I can see, that the guns are a lot more like monster guns, like Existence guns and shit.
It also looks a lot brighter.
Yeah, the levels seem like they're more in the daytime, and there's more like kind of color out there. It still looks like an absolutely nutty boomer shooter.
Some insane looking weapons in this thing.
Yeah, they're all various crazy monster weapons. So, I don't know. Looks kind of interesting. But yeah, that went into full release.
Nice.
So came out of early access, went into full release.
Good for them.
Yep. Kind of hope they move on to something else, because they went really quickly from Forgive Me Father 1 to Forgive Me Father 2.
Yeah, I was very surprised with it.
Little Nightmares 3 came out with a new trailer called You're Being Watched. This has the titular little nightmares in question, the two little nightmares, kind of in like a processing facility, kind of trying to make their way through, and there's like kind of a monster at the controls, like watching them and getting increasingly more upset with them for turning off like conveyor belts and fucking up the production and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know. Did you ever get any of the Little Nightmares? I don't think so, right?
No, I always considered it, but it's just for some reason it just never did.
Yeah. I don't know. The conception of the game is very strange to me. Of like you're these tiny little people in a world full of huge monsters.
That's what made it interesting. But then for some reason I just never tried any of them.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just never. And then by the time I knew it, they'd made they made the sequel, and then now we're getting a third one. And I'm just like, oh, I just don't feel like trying now.
Well, and then they're also making that other one that's also about tiny little people, about animals and shit.
I remember that one, yeah.
So,
this one's very co-op-y looking.
Yeah. Well, so was the last one, which was weird. So, yeah, 2025, that's coming out. Let's see. Buckshot Roulette is getting a multiplayer, actually got a multiplayer update.
Oh, that's cool.
So now you can
play against other people doing it.
Yeah, in fact, it looks like you can play with up to like 4 people. I don't know if the dealer counts as, if you can have somebody in the dealer slot, but...
this is a great idea.
Yeah, which is really interesting. Because for anybody who doesn't know, Buckshot Roulette is like you load up a shotgun, and some of the rounds are blanks, and some of them are live. And so every round you cock the shotgun, and you can either shoot it at somebody else or at yourself. But like you incur, like if you shoot at somebody else and you quote unquote miss, you get a penalty. It's a really interesting game. I thought about going back to it because apparently there's a lot that we missed.
We missed a lot, apparently.
Where you can like leave the table and go out into like the place where it's happening.
Yeah, we just couldn't figure it out, and then it was like stuff we just didn't bother looking at. Apparently,
yeah,
it's very strange.
Yeah. So, yep. But that is out already. Let's see. Power Wash Simulator got a little Halloween update.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a witch's house, so it's kind of like spooky witch's house, and it's covered in like kind of grime and graffiti.
Even the gun and everything's kind of themed too.
Yeah, yeah. You also get an outfit and a theme for the gun that makes it different. But yeah, this is good because this is just one of those free ones where it's like, yeah, man, here you go, have fun.
I love that for these guys.
Yeah. I'm glad they are still making enough to keep making stuff.
Well, people keep just like walking up to them and being like, hey, we want you to make this thing that you can clean. It's like, okay, cool. And it just keeps happening.
Yeah, they made this Alice in Wonderland pack that I never finished, and then they put out the Shrek one, and I never started it. So,
yeah. And I know you never. Did you ever finish the Warhammer one?
I did. It took so long.
I remember that's the thing. Really, yeah, that was the thing you were telling me about last time.
Yeah, the drop ship of the last level for that was so big that it took too long. Let's see. Speaking of like kind of weird shit, we got this a launch trailer for this game called Moon Mystery. Where you're playing as like an astrobiologist caught on the moon, and so they've got kind of like rovers and like wandering around kind of doing adventure and stuff. But then like halfway through this trailer, it's like you've got a shotgun and there's like weird monsters and stuff, and so you're blasting on monsters, and you're also going to like other worlds and like underwater and through space. And I'm like, wait, is this actually really awesome? Because it kind of looks awesome.
It looks kind of awesome, yeah. And the fact that it's just called Moon Mystery is actually kind of fun.
Right. Like they show like customizing weapons and kind of fighting with like robots and solving mysteries.
Because that name just makes it sound like you're like, oh, you're just going to only be like solving a mystery and being sad and being alone. And it's like, no, you're going to do all this badass shit. You're like, oh, that looks great.
And there's like a black hole. There's like parts where they're like driving through a countryside and like a car. Like, wait, what is happening here?
There's a lot happening here, and that's pretty cool.
I don't know. I might. I don't know. I don't know. The thing is that I kind of packed a dance card. Like over the last couple of weeks, there's been so much out that the format of RageSelect, it's like I had to skip a bunch of stuff.
No, dude, we're in a weird spot where I think we're gonna. Because we always hit a lull where we don't have anything to play.
Yeah.
We're just going to have a giant backlog now that we can just finally do. Yeah. And that's going to be very interesting whenever that happens.
No, the thing is that I did the schedule, and like, you know, when we run out of games to play, like 1 week before Christmas. Like December is full. Think of all the December shit we've seen, like the Rita stuff, and remember those horror games, and like
this is unprecedented, guys.
Yeah, I looked it up. What was the other? I mean, like Indy comes out in November.
Yeah, Indy's a November one.
But like, let me see what December I've got here. Legacy of Kain remastered. Oh no, Indy is in December.
Oh wait, no. Actually, I could have sworn it was November.
Yeah, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Horizons. Oh, well, that was just pushing that up. Marvel Rivals comes out in December. Yeah, Stalker 2 is in November. Rise of the Golden Idol is in November. Slitterhead's in November. That weird Lego Horizon game is in November. Like,
it's too many things.
Mario and Luigi Brothership is like next week. Like, so
there's too many things.
There's a lot of things.
Too many things. Too little time.
Yep. And hey, and in case you needed something else to put on your list, this is so weird. This is a game called Rogue Flight. This came out this week on the PlayStation. I went and bought it for $20 based on this trailer, which is just a 90s anime OVA intro.
Oh my god!
Like, if you heard the song, it's got one of those songs from like the 90s OVA, and so it's a Star Fox style game where it's like a flight game, but you're on rails. You're flying a spaceship, but it's got like this anime lady main character, and it kind of looks awesome, and it's getting a lot of really good reviews. And I was like, well, really good reviews, space game, anime, $20. Okay, sure.
That's fucking awesome.
And yeah, it's got a cool style to it. It kind of reminds me of, again, the PSX style is kind of in right now.
Yeah, I'm cool with that though. 100% cool with that.
And the song on this really reminded me of Evangelion, and then so did the fucking intro that they put out there.
I definitely could see that from the look of it. Yeah.
So pretty cool. Everybody should go. Let's do it. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm still looking at the schedule, trying to decide if there's anywhere that I can put it in the schedule. So
yeah, that's the trick.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, play it first. Maybe we'll do that. Play it first, and then decide whether it should go on the schedule.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered got its launch trailer. PS5 and PC. Apparently, I read a thing that, like, the big thing with the PC release is that people really, really, really don't like that PSN login.
Yeah, that makes
as well
sense.
as a few other things. But I gotta say that this trailer just looks fantastic. Like,
no, yeah, and that was to be expected. They put a lot of work into it.
I think a lot of people don't remember what Horizon Zero Dawn looked like originally, but like,
well, yeah, a lot of people forget it was a PS4 game.
Yeah, whereas this looks like 2. It looks like 1, but with the engine for 2,
yeah,
which is almost
which is great.
So, yep. Let's see. We got the release date. No, I don't. I'm going to skip that because we're almost out of time. Oh, we got about 10 minutes. Oh, no. All right. Shadow Tactics, Ico's Choice. This was the DLC for Shadow Tactics.
Oh, okay.
They're bringing the Shadow Tactics franchise to the PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
To consoles. And so they put out a trailer with, like, the characters kind of doing their thing. This is from the company that made Desperados 3 as well as Shadow Gambit.
Oh, okay.
The Ghost Pirate game.
So this is them just mostly porting something.
Yes, this was like their first Mimi's first game.
Oh, okay.
Where it was like them doing this. I played a long time ago. What I'm hoping is that this finally brings the control scheme from Desperados, which was optimized for a controller, to Shadow Tactics, because when you went to go play Shadow Tactics, it only used the original kind of PC version of that schema. So
that's cool.
Yep.
Good for them.
Mimi is a great company, and I'm sad that they shut down. So
they're on accord too. They're just like, yeah, we just don't feel like doing this anymore.
Yep.
It's like, that's fucking weird.
And last but not least, hey Michael, guess what? There's a Death Note game.
Why? How does that even work?
So I hate that I'm saying this, but it actually kind of looks like it might work because it's a social deduction game. It's like an Among Us.
Oh, that's interesting.
So here's the thing. You know the little figures that Nier has in the second half? That's what you play as in the game.
Oh my god.
So you play as little figures that he has in a world. And the thing is that one player is Kira, but he has a team with him. The other character is L, and he has a team with him. The objective is to either arrest Kira or kill L. Now, if you're on the Kira team, you can write people's name in the death note, but you have to put your character really close to another character and stay there for a certain amount of time. So that's like suspicious behavior that the L team can then look out for. And then when people die, they can do the basically like call a
That's actually kind of fun.
And there's also other little things like if they kill one of the L sides and they have evidence, the L team could try to like get the evidence from them because they're like little cops. And then the whole thing is played as though L and Kira are looking down on a diorama. So there's like cutscenes that happen where it zooms out to show the two of them like they're playing this like board game. And I'm like, this looks like a cool idea.
Actually a great idea. Like, this is such an interesting way of doing this that I never would have guessed.
Yeah, I remember seeing it as a headline, and I rolled my eyes, and then I started watching this trailer, and then I read how it worked, and I was like, oh, that actually makes a certain amount of sense. Like,
that's fucking fascinating.
And it makes way more sense than that weird Konami game with the Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty
Cyber
thing.
Sherlock Holmes.
That shit was ridiculous.
It was very weird. But yeah, doesn't this look kind of cool?
This actually looks pretty cool.
Hey, you want to know some good news? It's also one of the November PSN games.
Oh.
So you can download and play it for free. If you have PS Plus.
Whenever it comes out. That's pretty fun, actually.
So I'm like, oh, wow, somebody had a good idea. You guys did all this right. Like, one, that looks like an interesting game, and then two, I don't have to pay money outside of my membership to try it. Who's in charge? Who's in charge of this company?
A generally good idea. A generally good idea for a Death Note game.
Yeah.
Fucking fascinating.
Yep. So, yes, the games for PS Plus essentials are Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, which is rad.
It was pretty rad, actually.
Ghostwire Tokyo, which was okay, and then that Death Note Killer Within game starting November 5th. You can download those.
Choices.
Yep. I got to figure out where I'm going to put that Death Note game in the fucking lineup because, like, I'm worried about. I'm sorry, a little insider baseball. I'm worried about scheduling it for one episode and then having to be like, actually, this might be one of my favorite games.
That's a tricky one. That's a very tricky one. Because it is a multiplayer one still.
Yep. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, the mobile game, is getting sunsetted as a live service game, and they're going to be making a complete edition that comes out that is $20 after, I think it's like December. Up until December, it'll be $10.
Okay.
But the thing is that, like, the previous one apparently had a monthly fee associated with it.
I remember that. Yeah.
And if you were a previous subscriber, you get nothing.
Really?
Good day to you, sir.
That sucks.
You pay for the game again. Now, you can still port all your stuff over, but they're also taking out a bunch of the online stuff that would require more, like, upkeep.
Yeah.
And then if you have the microtransaction currency, apparently that just goes away. Like, go fuck yourself.
Wow, they just completely fucked over everybody who played that game. And then that's fucking insane.
Nintendo still doesn't really understand how mobile games work.
No, they don't, which is very evident.
Let's see. Speaking of disappointments, Path of Exile 2, which was getting ready to go into early access, has been delayed for 3 weeks.
Oof.
So it is now coming out towards the end of November. However, this had nothing to do with the game. The game is fully and completely done. What this has to do, and this is an uplifting story. What this has to do with is the fact that the developer said everything you purchased in Path of Exile 1 will be accessible in Path of Exile 2.
Oh, wow.
And they ran into a last-minute bug that would make that not the case. And so they're fixing that feature.
That's actually very nice of them.
That has nothing to do with the actual game. So
it's very, very nice of them.
Yeah. I mean, better than launching and having a fucking 100 think pieces be like, bro, they said they were going to do it, then they didn't do it. Fucking downvote. Overwhelmingly negative on Steam.
Yeah.
When will this be fixed? Like, well, we already know it's a thing. We're already fixing it.
That's absolutely what would have happened.
So, Deltarune, Chapter 3 and 4, finally has a full solid release window.
God damn, I feel like this thing's been, it's another one of those instances of it's just been being made forever.
Yep. 2025 is when both of them are going to come out. Toby Fox talked about how, like, this is the kind of spiritual follow-up to Undertale.
Well, it is still technically a sequel to it.
Yeah.
Because it takes place after the end of, like, the good ending, basically.
But it's not, like, so directly tied in.
It isn't, but, like, because you're basically, you're just the new character in that world, basically.
Okay.
Because you still see some of the old characters, but you're not like, oh, hey, I'm the guy from the last one. It's like, no, you're just in the world that happens if you get the good ending, basically.
Chapter 1 came out in 2018, and Chapter 2 came out in fall of 2021. So by 2025, then you're going to get Chapters 3 and 4, and that's it, and it's done.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's been doing that came out in, 2017, something like that?
2018.
Okay, I was off by one, but that's still a long time ago.
It's also worth noting that Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 are both free to play.
Yes.
Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 will not be. They'll be finally putting it together into a monetizable package.
I only played the first chapter, and I never went back. I meant to, I just never did.
And then let's finish it up with a few fun things. This is so funny. Alien Isolation, there's a guy that made a mod for Alien Isolation that makes the entire game take 46 seconds.
How does that work?
So in the very beginning of the game, there's a thing where these explorers are investigating Ripley's, like, the crash site on LV-426, and they find alien matter and Ripley's distress call, and that's what leads Ripley's daughter to come seek her out, and they take the stuff back to Sevastopol Station. This is what if there was a xenomorph still left alive on LV-426. So it's like the beginning of the game where these guys are on LV-426, and then the minute they open a door, a xenomorph jumps out and fucking kills everybody. And so nothing happened in the end, and nothing happened.
That's actually kind of funny.
They actually went in and recorded dialogue for the people screaming, and they put in some voice stinger or some music stingers for it and stuff.
That's so funny.
But it's also I don't like this, where the person that made it was like, oh, okay, IGN said the game was too long. Well, how do you like this, IGN? Here is this too long for you? And it's like, that game was fucking too long, okay?
It is an overly long game for no reason. It gets more tedious because of it.
You kill the alien almost halfway, a little past halfway through the game, and then it keeps going from there, and it's like, oh. So
kind of lame, unfortunately.
Michael, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's got some mods too.
My God, the mods are fucking so insane. I love it.
The ones that I'm talking about are apparently some mods that are specifically about putting characters into their casual clothes.
Yeah, there's a lot of either filler clothes or just clothes that showed up in the show that they just never. There's never been a costume you can use in one of the games.
Yeah.
And so people were like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do it myself." And they're really well made, lovely.
So the Piccolo Post Boy outfit,
yes,
is one that's in there. He's got a yellow shirt.
He wears it when he has to try to get a driver's license.
Oh yeah, and then the Badman Vegeta outfit.
Yeah,
it's a pink shirt that says Badman on the back.
Yeah, that's a canon shirt. That's not even a filler shirt.
Yeah,
that's just something he wears because his armor is just so fucked up, and that he just ends up wearing that before he gets a new one.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy what people have done. Those are the tame ones. Those are the tame, fun ones. Mm-hmm. But I've seen the ones where they're play as Kermit the Frog. Fuck it. Oh.
Well, hey, that brings me to the last thing. Red Dead Redemption came out on the PC. You better believe the mods are occurring.
Oh, good fun.
One of the easiest things to do is you could just replace the movies that are in the movie theaters in Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, that's fun.
So we have one that's John Marston watching the trailer for GTA 6.
Oh, gosh.
In the movie theater.
It looks fantastic.
There was another one that somebody posted of him watching the fucking the opening to Neon Genesis Evangelion. So
he just goes to one.
Which I kind of want to record, Jason and I doing Gary Marzipan's reaction to watching the opening cutscene or the intro to Evangelion, because I feel like Gary Marzipan, not John Marston, but Gary Marzipan would be really into this.
It would be such a good idea.
So those are the easy ones, but then we've got a few others. I think I did end up finding the most cursed thing I've ever seen on the internet, Michael.
I'm curious now.
It's John Marsden with no facial hair.
Oh my God, that's horrifying.
It's called the John the Beardless mod.
That is hard to look at.
And John Marsden does not look correct without any facial hair.
He's horrifying to look at.
He's a fucking nightmare. He's an undead nightmare.
Oh my goodness, that. I do not like that at all.
Yep. It makes him. He's real gross looking.
It's just I never realized how large his jaw is.
It's such a pie face.
Jesus Christ.
Also, we got mods to try to put Arthur Morgan in the game, but whoever's making this mod is just you can't port the character model in. So they're trying to make an Arthur Morgan in the Red Dead, and it doesn't look very good.
No, it looks like Kurt Cobain, actually.
It looks very weird.
Like I get the consensus, but you guys it needs more time. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. Also, some other fun stuff like basically up-resing, the menu system. One just takes out the logo of the people who did the up-resing.
Oh wow!
So when you launch, it's like just doesn't have that in there. I'm like, okay, that seems like a little.
What a weird thing to do.
Yeah,
kind of mean actually.
High resolution weapon wheel. Close up camera, like moves the camera closer. I think like Red Dead 2.
Oh, okay.
This one I think is great. This is quick loot. Where you don't have to like wait for John to go through the whole animation of like skinning something.
And be like, oh, what did you eat or something?
What have you been eating?
God, that was such an annoying thing.
Upscale grass. Anyway, the mods are starting.
All chickens saved and rabbits killed.
Yep. This is to skip a very tedious quest at the beginning.
My goodness.
Yeah. And that's the show. It's pretty spooky.
It's a very spooky November.
Spookily long, more than anything else.
I know the Treehouse of Horrors episode for Simpsons is going to be the same day this comes out too, actually.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Watch that. Well, Michael, if they want to hear more from you, where can they do that?
You can sometimes find me on oneofus.net. We do a lot of movie television reviews. I haven't done one in a while, but you guys should be able to find the many reviews that either I've done or just the ones that are on there in general at the moment.
Yeah, check it out. And hey, if you've got some money, should do
got some money, honey.
Do you have any money? Can I have some? Well, if so, the answer to that is yes. Then go to patreon.com/RageSelect to help us out, kick some bucks, get some bonus videos in return. Amanda and I are going to try to play all the way through the Lake House. But I think there might be a conflict of interest, Michael, because not this coming week, but the week after, the fucking second Golden Idol game comes out.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And the first time I made the mistake of playing all the way through that game so fast that we couldn't do a sequential because I already knew all the answers to everything. But I'm like, man, have I had so much fun deducing the Golden Idol puzzles that I kind of want to do a full playthrough of that.
That's the problem with mystery games is once you figured it out, you can't go back and you have to gain amnesia for it kind of thing. But the problem is that when you play them and then you get stuck, then it makes for some very not as interesting. Because that's what happened to us when we did the Curse of the Oberdeen.
Oberdeen,
because we were like, we were getting real in there, but then we just got stuck and we just could not figure out what we were supposed to do from there.
I've actually learned how to play Golden Idol, where there's stuff that you can try to try to get there's strategies you can use to kind of game the system a little bit. Plus, I think they're better at giving you puzzles that are easily solved. Anyway, let's get off track. Patreon.com/RageSelect. If you've got money, give it to me, maybe, please. Just a little bit. I don't want a lot. Just a little bit.
Just a smidge.
Just a little bit. Just a teeny little bit. Yeah. And that's our show. Happy late Halloween. Bye.